words and how do we empower these ideas today? Kim Munson here. Join me and my fellow American Molly Vogt this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. on KLZ 560, as we get to the heart of the matter about the vision of the Declaration. We have some surprise guests scheduled, and you'll be smarter, more informed, and warmer. That's Heart of the Matter this Sunday on KLZ 560.
DVDs for Vets is asking listeners to donate new or used DVDs for the benefit of military veterans who otherwise cannot easily obtain them on their own. With limited entertainment, vets in rehab can use what many of us take for granted every day. To donate new or used DVDs or to learn more about this worthy cause, please go to DVDs4vets.org. That's DVDs, the number 4vets.org.
This Sunday and every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. right here on KLZ 560 AM. Listen to The Wealth. Now we talk about the importance of planning, not just investing, but avoiding costly mistakes and potential financial crises in a way that matches the specific needs of you and your loved ones. Tune in every Sunday right here on KLZ 560 from 2 to 3 p.m. to The Wealth Map, helping you map a course to your financial future.
KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD Denver. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com. KLZ 560, a proper broadcasting God and country station.
Somebody fancy automobile. Oh, she's a real road king, all right. 0 to 60, 7.5. Just a quarter mile, 13.40. 390 horsepower, 500 foot-pounds of torque. Whatever that is. Performance Limited, that's what it's all about.
There's no such thing as a stupid question. This is Drive Radio. All of your automotive questions are just one phone call away. 303-477-5600. Drive Radio is made possible by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. To find one near you, go to drive-radio.com. Now, Drive Radio on KLZ 560.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Drive Radio, and I am your host today, John Rush. In studio with me, I've got Jeff Kitty from Larry's Automotive over in the Westminster area. So, Jeff, thanks for coming down.
Not a problem, John. Anytime.
Braving the cold, and it's a little different view out the high atop the KLZ towers today. We have a little different view than we had last week, but that's okay.
See the mountain.
That's you can't see the mountains. We've had a snowy, cold week, and it's going to get colder as the day goes on. Also have in studio with us our special guest, Paul Leuenberger. You hear me talk about Paul a lot on the insurance side of the fence. And no, Paul and I did not have a crystal ball and figure out that the weekend we were going to have him on, we would have all of this snow and all of this would just coordinate perfectly with everything that's happened in regards to insurance, etc. But it worked out perfect, Paul.
It did. Thanks for having me.
It's a reminder that you need to make sure you've got all of your ducks in a row, not just with your vehicle itself. Last week we had Isaac on, talked about buying and selling cars and all of that in the comments even last week where, you got to buy the car, got to have a car, but you also have to maintain the car, which we talk about on a regular basis. But, reason Paul's here, you also have to insure the car. Not only is it a law, but it's the smart thing to do. You don't want to run around without insurance.
No, you don't.
In fact, you don't want to run around without the proper insurance. We're going to talk about some of those things today because in a lot of cases, you may be, Paul and I have had this conversation together, you may be underinsured or you may be overinsured in some particular cases. We'll talk about some of that as we go through the show today, but I would encourage you, if you need any insurance advice at all, Paul's our guy. He can definitely take care of you. 303-619-98. I believe it is, or maybe even a month ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago, though. We had Ken and Mike from Quick Tread on. They put out a deal that I put on our Facebook page earlier in the week where they've got running, I think they'll even do it through this next week. If you want $50 off a set of tires, which in some cases, that's half the cost of one tire, they will continue to do that. So call the guys at Quick Tread. In fact, I just had somebody, Alan Stefan, our Gates rep, just emailed me and said, hey, how do I get a hold of those tire guys? So who are they? So I just thought that's a good reminder. Quick Tread, $50 off deal. Mention Drive Radio. Ken or Mike, either one will take care of you. 720-588-0000. 9055. And those guys are really sharp on tires. Not that those of us inside the Colorado Select Group and Drive Radio are not, but when that's what you do all day long, every day, and you see not only the deals that are out, but the changes that have been made in tires, winter versus all season versus summer, all those different things. They can walk you through all of that. I've sent several people to those guys just this week alone. And again, Alan was calling, wanting to know how to get together with them. So yeah, if you have not gotten your tires handled yet, now would be a great time to do it. Call Ken or Mike, either one of those guys. They'll take care of you. Again, you can find those guys on our website, drive-radio.com. So guys, today, those of you listening, you can call in, by the way, 303-477-5600. Love to talk today about not only the insurance side of the fence with Paul, which we'll get into. Jeff is our resident transmission expert, which we all know there's times where you may get a little bit in trouble. You may get stuck. You may be in a little bit too deep of snow. We'll talk today about what do you do when you're in that case, and is the old method of, rocking the vehicle back and forth, especially with late model automatics, is that really the right way to handle things? And or are you going to do damage to your car if you actually do that? So we'll get in with Jeff and talk about some of that. I think some of you will be surprised at what some of the answers are. Again, call us 303-477-5600. We'd love to hear from you. And again, thank you for all of you that listen. You guys send emails, you comment on things, you're on Facebook, and trust me, we do appreciate that very much. I can't say that enough. I know everybody that's involved with Drive Radio feels the same way. And I also will say this: thank you for supporting our sponsors. Paul, before he came on air, said, "Wow, I've really had great response from your listeners. But guys, that's what it's all about. And it's not just so we can help Paul make more money. Let's face it, we are all here, you guys included that are listening. You've got a job to do. We have a job to do. We've got to make money or we can't keep doing what we're doing. But the bottom line is, we as a show are trying to bring you providers that will treat you fairly, give you the advice you need, and not just try to sell you product to sell you product. We want to really help you to make sure that you're taken care of properly. Thereby, that's why we have teamed up with folks like Quick Tread, Isaac Bouchard, our broker, Colorado Select, Napa Auto Care Centers, K&N Engineering, Napa Auto Parts, and then, of course, Paul on the insurance side of the fence, where he can really get in and get into the minutia of what you're doing. Does it work? Does it not work? And by the way, Paul sells not just insurance for your car, but Paul, what else can you handle?
We do home insurance, motorcycles, boats, RVs, fifth wheels, snowmobiles, ATVs. There's nothing that we won't insure.
What about the commercial side of the fence? Do you even do some of that?
Yeah, we do a little bit of commercial. It's more on the personal side. And then the nice thing is when you get everything bundled up, then you've got your umbrella that gives you that $1 million or $2 million worth of protection.
Whatever you want to buy, right? Which we'll talk about some of that today. Most people, if they have any kind of assets at all, should probably have an umbrella. And, I'll be the first to admit, nobody likes writing those insurance checks until you need the insurance. Then you're glad you wrote all those checks. But every month when you write them, you're thinking, oh, do I really need this? Do I have the right coverage? Do I have enough coverage? Do I have too much coverage? What is going on here? Am I doing this the right way or not? Am I just spending a bunch of money? You think about all those things until the day you have an accident, and then your insurance company that you have, hopefully, and I say hopefully because there's a big difference in companies that are out there, hopefully they come through with you and take care of you.
Well, the one thing I've noticed in the last couple of years is just the amount of people that don't carry enough. I've had more claims just this year alone with people that have gotten hit that don't have any insurance. And then they've got to come back to us to fix it.
So we've got a few minutes before break. And by the way, call us. If you've got a question for Paul, for Larry on the other side of the glass, which, by the way, I need to make sure I say that. Larry and Matt, I don't give those guys enough credit every single week. They're down here faithfully taking care of things, making sure that the other side of the radio show itself runs properly. Matt on the engineering side, Larry on the production side, making sure your phone calls get answered. He takes a lot of calls off air, takes care of you. We appreciate that very much. So Larry from Larry's Automotive, he is Jeff's partner. We appreciate so much him being down here every single Saturday, making sure this thing happens. So hats off to Larry. And if you want to call anytime and just thank him for what he does, our show would not be the quality that it is without somebody like Larry being here on a weekly basis to make that happen. So my hat's off to Larry. I appreciate all that he does on a weekly basis. So call us, get him busy, 303-477-5600. Back to insurance. So Paul, let's talk about that for a minute about, whether or not you even have enough insurance, and you go out, you get into these situations, you find people just don't have enough coverage. Explain that.
Well, when I sit down with people and we start talking about coverages, there's just a lot of questions where people don't understand what their policy is and what it means with bodily injury, property damage, uninsured motorists. So the people that I sit down with, a lot of them will just, to cut costs, instead of raising deductibles, they'll lower the coverage and they'll run with the state minimums because that's what's legal.
Which let's talk about that for a minute. What are state minimums on insurance?
So you got $25,000 per person, $50,000 per accident. So what that covers is you go out today and you leave and you run into somebody, the most your insurance company will take care of is $25,000 for each individual in that car, but no more than $50,000 for the total accident. And then anything that goes above and beyond that comes back to the driver themselves.
So 25 and 50.
Which is not,
and we're running around with cars that, I was on just last week, and I do car reviews on a routine basis. In fact, I'm driving a Dodge truck this week. I'll give you a review on that next week of just a regular 2500 cloth interior, nothing fancy. We're driving it last night. My wife's trying to figure out, okay, so what does this thing cost? Give me your best guess. And I hadn't looked at the window sticker or anything yet. And I'm like, well, just looking at the equipment, et cetera, this truck's got to be right around 50-ish retail price. She pulls the window sticker out. 49, 480 something. I wasn't too far off. I was $500. My point is, okay, you go buy a new truck. It's hard to buy a decent, 3/4 ton truck for under 50 grand, and yet the minimums are 25 and 50. So
one damage, and so the minimum for that's not what takes care of your stuff. That's what takes care of the stuff that you've rear-ended or that you've hit. So I'm driving today and I've got those coverages and I hit you in the truck and your truck's totaled out. My insurance going to write you a check for $15,000.
So I'm basically hosed unless I personally have enough additional coverage, which we need to get into today and talk about. Unless I've covered myself some other way, I'm not going to get enough money out of that to even cover myself.
Well, you're going to turn around and just go after your own company to cover the difference in the coverage, but then you're going to go out and try to go after me. Well, that's where that gray area of insurance is.
Got it. Okay, lots to talk about, as you guys can imagine. Insurance and variables that go into it, into the thought process of what to buy, what to have, what to insure yourself with, lots to do. And I'll be honest, there's no way we're going to get all this done in 3 hours. Paul would need to come out and meet with you for a solid hour to just sit down and look at your particular situation. What are your assets like? What do you own? How do you want to protect yourself? All those different questions. And I know that happens because Paul and I have those conversations. And you need to be very frank and not try to hide anything because you want to make sure you're not going to get in trouble with something if something were to happen. Correct, Paul?
Correct. I mean, when I sit down with people, it's not to see what you're paying. I want to see what you're paying for. And a lot of people they're paying a lot of money and they just don't understand what their coverages are because they're not there.
Got it. All right, let's go to Dorothy in Niwot real quick, help her out on her Hyundai. Dorothy, what's going on this morning?
Oh, hi there, guys. Yeah, I just got my Elantra in May. Okay. And Wednesday morning when I was trying to get to work, and I only work 5 miles from my condo, I had the scariest drive of my life ever. And I've had 4 cars in my life and driven off the floor dealership. So I don't know if it's just that the dealerships now put on really, really bad tires on new cars, but I couldn't get control of the car. I was driving down 119, it's kind of like in the diagonal highway.
Yep, know exactly where you're at.
Cars passing by me. I had everyone looking at me like, what's wrong? The car was like fishtailing, and I guess it has traction control on it.
Yes.
I don't know. I was reading online. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know how to shut that off. But I could.
No, you want to leave that. You want to leave that on in the snow, in the icy, snowy weather. More than likely, what's happened or what's happening, I should say, is a lot of cars. In fact, my sister and I just went through this past week. She bought a new Juke about end of last spring, roughly. Really hasn't driven it in the snow much. It's all-wheel drive. Comes into the office the other day because she works for me and says, that car is the worst car I've ever driven in snow in my entire life. And so I'm thinking, okay, let me go out, and I know what she's driving. So I went out and looked at the tires. Sure enough, they're a high-performance highway racing type tire. And I'm not saying that's what's on your Elantra, but Dorothy, the first thing you need to look at is what type of tire do you have? And if it's not a winter type tire designed for traction on snow and ice, you're not going to have the control you need.
Okay.
It's probably a tire issue more than a mechanical problem with the car.
Most definitely.
And, I was talking to some guys at work, and they were saying that. But the only thing that had me confused is, again, my first car was a Hyundai Excel in 1987. I mean, I had 4 cars. I lived in New York for the first, 30 years of my life, and then I was here for 20. And I've had brand new cars. And is it just a difference? Like nowadays, they don't put on good tires? Because I never had snow tires.
What's happened in today's world versus what we've experienced in years past is because of the government and the CAFE ratings that are now being forced upon the car manufacturers. They're trying to squeeze every ounce of fuel economy out of a car that they possibly can. And in some cases, they can get, believe it or not, a half a mile to the gallon out of just a tire change, going from a less aggressive, going to a lesser aggressive tread tire, more of a highway type tire. They can actually pick up fuel economy, thereby that's why they're going that direction with a lot of the newer cars.
Okay. But then just one quicker thing. I'm on my dashboard, right? And I was just thinking it's actually been pretty accurate because I do the math every time I fill my car up.
Okay.
It tells you how many miles per gallon you're getting.
Correct.
In the middle of summer, I was getting between 34 and 40. And since Monday, since the cold snap came, it was saying like 26, 27. I don't know if it's just the computer.
No, you're going to go down in the winter. Several reasons affect that. And that's a great question, by the way. I'm glad you asked because a lot of people out there engine's cold, getting started, etc. So when it's in cold weather, starting up, especially if you have to park outside, you're going to use a lot of fuel in that warm-up mode of the vehicle now versus even last Saturday when we were 65 degrees. I mean, we've gone from 65 to the low teens well, we did it really in a matter of hours on Monday, but you get my drift. Today, we are much lower than we were a week ago. And then just driving around, the extra resistance that's on the road from the ice products that are put down and the snow and different things like that, all of that, your habits are going to change driving. All of that's going to affect fuel economy.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So I doubt if it's an issue with the car. It's probably not anything you're doing wrong. It really just boils down to, the type of the time of the year that it is, the colder weather, you're just naturally going to use more fuel. But on the tire side of the fence, Dorothy, give the guys a Quick Tread. They're one of our sponsors. They can help you literally with what's going on. They can look up the type of tire that's on your car now. They can tell you what's going on, what you could move into, cost, options, etc. Their number is 720-588-9055, and they've got a $50 off deal right now.
Excellent. 588-9055.
Yep.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Dorothy. Thanks for the phone call. We appreciate it very much. All right, with that, we're going to come back, talk more to not only Paul, but Jeff, get some tips on driving in the snow, what's going on with your transmission, how to be properly insured, make sure you have enough insurance. Call us. We'd love to get you dialed in, 303-477-5600. Get Larry busy. Lines are open. We'll get you right on air. We'll be back right after this. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560.
We've all been there. You're under the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that'll make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty good at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately finding the right part store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Need a one-stop auto repair solution in Northern Colorado? At Fort Collins 4x4 Center, they service and maintain more than just 4x4s. From diesel pickups to economy cars, their team of service specialists and technicians have the computer diagnostics, tools, and expertise to service and repair any make or model. They combine their skills with integrity, giving you the best service in the industry. From preventative maintenance to repairs, you can trust your vehicle to Fort Collins 4x4, located just a few blocks north of Old Town on College Avenue in Hemlock. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 until 5:30, with convenient shuttle service and after-hours drop. If you're ready to form a solid relationship with an auto repair shop, the new owners at Fort Collins 4x4 are committed to providing the professional and personal service you're looking for. Give them a call at 970-482-5500. 970-482-5500. Check them out on the web at FortCollins4x4.com or follow them on Facebook at FortCollins4x4.com.
Do you love things that require gas or diesel fuel to run? Do you need a job? Or are you just looking for a change? Napa Auto Parts is looking for delivery drivers and salespeople in all locations in the Denver metro area. If you have experience in the industry, that helps, but it is not mandatory. Please go to NapaAutoJobs.com. Again, that's NapaAutoJobs.com and fill out the application. Please mention Drive Radio on that application. Napa Auto Parts, equal opportunity employer.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
Drive Radio, John Rush, your host. Appreciate y'all listening. 303-477-5600 is our phone number. And sorry, I'm talking and reading and doing several things at once here. I just sent a message out to Ken from QuickTrade saying, hey, why don't you come on today, at least talk about your special that you've got. And so I'll send him back an email. He said he's been slammed with calls, booked solid into next week. Wow. So thank you, Drive Radio fans. That helps out a lot. So that helps our sponsors. Again, back to what I said earlier. These sponsors, that's part of my job is to make sure that we're sending them the proper business, helping you out all at the same time. But call those guys, and they'll help you out, and we'll get to Ken on here in just a little bit. Drew's got a question, I believe, for Paul. Drew, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for calling us.
Good. So I've got an insurance question, and I told you call screen. I'm not sure if you guys wanted to take this on the air or not, but it's an automobile insurance deal, and I have a coworker who was rear-ended, and he was driving a company vehicle. So the question that he's got, and it's one that I kind of have too, because I do the same thing he does, and if this ever happened to me, I want to know. So I know that being the owner of the car, our employer would be the one that the insurance company would deal with as far as the vehicle and whatnot. But what if there was any type of pain and suffering or other issues that would be involved? Would the insurance company deal directly with the employee, or would it be?
No, I can answer that one. Actually, I'm not an insurance guy, but I own a company, so I know how this part of it works. So if you as an employee are driving the employer's car and there is an accident and you're injured, the first place it goes is workman's comp.
Right.
From there, workman's comp can then decide, are they going to try to subrogate, they call it, by going to either insurance company to try to determine if they can get some of the money back on the workman's comp side of the fence. But it all starts with workman's comp and then goes from there.
All right. So, but what about, like, I know workman's comp is going to reimburse him for, his time, as far as that goes.
Yeah. So let's back up so everybody listening kind of understands. So let's say you're driving a work truck. There's an accident. It's not your fault. You get, even if it is your fault. But let's say you're in an accident. Something happens. Truck gets totaled, and you had to go to the hospital. You had some injuries, and you're out of work for 2 weeks. Workman's comp then, right off the bat, gets involved, gets you taken care of. They pay the hospital bills. There's no deductible or anything that you have to pay. All that gets handled. You get your lost time, etc. And if, heaven forbid, something happens to where you're disabled, then, of course, workman's comp actually gets involved then, figures out what the situation is, what's the disability, how does that work, etc. Now, from that point forward, what workman's comp does really depends on some of the stuff Paul's talking about today. Where's the coverages? Who's got which coverage for which? How do they subrogate, or can they subrogate, and so on. But you as the employee are covered no matter what, providing your employer has workman's comp.
And so that part I understand, and our employer does. But what he's thinking about, again, I do the same thing, so I understand what he's talking. his commission.
Correct.
If he's not, if he's
Correct.
injured for 3 or 4 weeks or whatever.
Correct.
As well as, what about the aspect? And he's not the type of an ambulance chaser or anything, But what about like the pain and suffering aspect of it? Stuff like that. I mean,
that would all be done through our court system, lawsuits. It's to do. I mean, if Randy Corcoran's out there listening and wants to call in and talk about this would be a great topic. So, Randy, if you're listening, I'd love to hear your feedback on this. Now, one thing that I would recommend for some of you that are in that particular situation, so let's say you've got a basic salary, you're a heavier commission employee versus a sales, versus a salary type of an individual. I would go, and Paul chime in here, but I would probably go to somebody like an Aflac or somebody that could actually handle the work-related side of the fence if you're off work, and you can buy that as separate coverage individual. The short-term disability.
Well, and so that part of it, agreed. I mean, I understand that part of it, but again, I guess his question and mine too is, would he then go after as far as his pain and suffering and his loss of wages insofar as his compensation, not salary related, but related. Would he go after the individual?
Yes.
And their insurance company, or would he go after his employer?
No, the employer is protected through workman's comp. That's why we as employers have workman's comp. In the state of Colorado, at least, I know this. If we, as an employer, have workman's compensation, which, by the way, people don't understand this, it's not a law that you have to carry workman's compensation as an employer. There's no law that says that. But to protect in these particular situations and all the examples you just gave, Drew, that's why we have a state-approved workman's comp insurance policy as an employer to avoid what you just said.
Yeah, so it sounds like he's going to need to, on his own, go back to the insurance company, the individual that hit him in the company vehicle.
Paul's shaking his head, yes.
Yeah, you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, does that make sense now?
Yeah, it does. I just was curious.
No, it's a great question.
I'm in the same situation as him.
Yeah, it's a great question. And by the way, a lot of people that are employees never really think to ask about that. And the other thing you have to really be careful of, and I'm very, very tight on this with my employees, is one thing that we've been over time and time again about is if my employees stop and pick up the wife or the girlfriend, stick them in the front seat and start driving, it's a whole different insurance policy for that passenger than it is for the employee. Thereby, I don't allow my guys to do what I just said.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the same insurance that my employee does.
Okay. Well,
Makes sense? No, great question, Drew. I appreciate that. That's something that, Paul, that probably doesn't get asked near enough. Most people don't think anything about that. Just hop in a work truck and off they go.
Yeah, I've never had that question asked.
There you go. So, Drew, you're a first, and it does happen, by the way. In fact, I don't know what the stats show, Paul, on, work-related accidents versus work-related accidents. In other words, driving your personal car versus driving a company car. I don't know what the stats are like on that end of things. It'd be interesting to know that.
Yeah, they just put the stats at just accidents in general.
Right. Doesn't come into play whether it was a work-related vehicle or a company-owned vehicle versus a personal vehicle.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that'd be nice to know. But okay, so back to Paul. We talked in the last segment for just a minute about underinsured, overinsured. We talked through the break, how different states around us handle their insurance differently than we do, which I'll be the first to say this, and probably a topic for a weekly or for one of my daily shows I should get into is, what could be done differently on the state side of the fence as far as, I'm not a big regulation guy, but when it comes to making sure people are properly insured, I just learned, and I'll play dumb. I'm an idiot. I didn't know it was as low as $15,000 on the property damage side of the fence for minimums in the state, because I've always carried so much more than that. I never knew it was that.
Those cars nowadays, you're talking $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
There's very few. Well, there's a handful of cars on the market today you can go out and buy brand new for under $15,000. Let's just say it that way. A handful. Literally a handful. You're not talking 20, 30 different models out there. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 models, if you're lucky, that you can buy for under $15,000. You're typically going to be in low 20s just to get started. And if you buy any kind of a SUV, anything along those lines at all, you're 35 plus all the way to, well, I drove that Escalade the other day that I reviewed, and it was $92,000 for a brand new extended wheelbase. So the ESV, the long wheelbase Escalade is $92,000.
Wow.
So that's a far cry from $15,000, Paul.
When they say in Colorado, a little over 30% of the people don't carry any insurance or not enough insurance.
Say that figure again.
Over 30%.
So a third of the drivers that's surrounding you right now as you're driving are under or not insured at all.
Correct.
Wow. A third. That's ridiculous.
I think the ones that are underinsured just probably have never had somebody sit down and explain to them. They go out there and they buy it based on the value, and not based on what they're paying for.
Great point. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk to Ken from Quick Trade. He just called in. We'll talk about tires for just a moment. Perfect day for it. By the way, any other questions you've got, we'd love to hear from you. Insurance, transmission, tires, weather-related driving, you name it. We'd love to chat with you. 303-477-5600. John Rush Drive Radio. We'll be back right after this. Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994. We specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 303-427-2108 for an appointment, or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care.
K&N's premium oil filters are very different. They make oil changes easier. K&N's wrench-off oil filters have a 1-inch nut welded on the top, so you can easily change the filter with a wrench or ratchet. And used with the Ziploc freezer bag, you can even remove a K&N oil filter with no oil spillage at all. Another great product from K&N, an American manufacturer since 1969.
Your wheel alignment can affect tire wear and fuel mileage that will cost you more for repairs and fuel. Arvada West uses state-of-the-art 3D imaging to align all 4 wheels of your vehicle. Be aware that irregular tire wear could also cause the need for additional alignment parts. Stop in or call us for our alignment special. Mention this ad and we'll inspect your vehicle and check your alignment starting at $69.95. Call Arvada West Auto at 303-422-1065. Stop by 11752 West 64th Avenue or visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business. So Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For a complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
At Napa, we're always trying to make the great parts we sell even better. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And every Napa part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
All right, welcome back on this snowy Colorado cold Saturday. That's okay. That's what we're here for. Drive Radio, KLZ 560. I'm your host, John Rush, along with Jeff Kitty, and Paul Leuenberger is with me, one of our great sponsors from, actually, it's American National Insurance, but Chrome is what he actually goes by. If you look on Facebook, you'll see Chrome Insurance as the kind of his moniker is probably the best way for me to say that. You can reach Paul at 303-619-9891. So if you've got insurance questions, especially after the show today, call Paul. Trust me, he's your guy. You won't find anybody else that knows any more about it than Paul does. Very knowledgeable, knows what it takes, knows what's going on, and he will help you out with all those needs. All right, Ken from Quick Trade, what's going on?
Hey, John. Good morning. I'm just out driving around, seeing a lot of new members of the Summer Tires Club on the side of the road.
That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
Well, we've side asking how to get a hold of you guys. I am guessing it's been probably busy around the Quick Tread end of things, but tell us a little bit more about what folks can do to find you, how they can get things handled, and how you can help them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Things are definitely busy. The weather obviously brings out a lot of folks who realize hopefully they realize before they slide off the side of the road, but they realize it's time to think about new tires. And so, right now, we're directing people to our Facebook page. And the reason is if folks go over to our Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com, and then either search for Quick Tread, QUIKTREAD, or just facebook.com/Quick Tread, QUIKTREAD. Either way, they go on there and they just click the like button on our page and like our page. Not only will it help us with building our fan base, but we're running a special right now, so we'll knock $50 off the set of new tires, which honestly for Drive Radio listeners anyway, we're already the special is I guess the price we'll give Drive Radio listeners is actually probably a little better than that. So nonetheless, we still love them to go on Facebook, click like. Yep. Either way, we're gonna hook Drive Radio listeners up with the best price in town on the set of new tires. There's no tires at all seasons.
Awesome.
Awesome. Driving now, so we are busy. It's great.
Well, we sent you somebody else again this morning, just about 15 minutes ago, and actually sent you two guys already this morning because of because of our sponsor from Napa. Alan, he's emailing me, hey, how do I get a hold of those guys? How do I get a hold of your tire guys? And so it was really good. And then my sister this week, I gave that story. She's got a Nissan. A little Nissan Juke Nismo, which has the fancy racing type tires on it, because that's what the Nismo comes with, and they're terrible in the snow. So yeah, we talked a few weeks ago about the differences in tires, and just because your tire has good tread doesn't mean it's going to do well when it comes to the ice and the snow.
It really doesn't. Can I share a quick story?
Go ahead.
All right. So what was it, Monday night last week? I drive an F-250, maybe for a big diesel truck, and I've got really nice all-terrain tires on there. They're great tires. They're awesome tires. However, they are not snow tires. And here I am preaching everybody how to put snow tires on. Well, the snowstorm caught me off guard too. I was not expecting that. Anyway, long story short, driving home from Boulder on Monday evening on Highway 93, almost brand new, all-terrain, great tread. And about 45 miles an hour, I did a full 360 all the way around. And probably 5 or 6 cars brushed within a foot or two of my truck. It was pretty scary. And the point is, when you hit a patch of ice, there's the only thing that's going to help you stop or maintain control is a set of winter tires, period. Yep. So I've got mine. We're too busy to put mine on, unfortunately.
That's the way it is. The shoemaker's kid goes without shoes.
Yeah, but they're waiting. They're waiting in their warehouse, and I'm putting them on next week.
Awesome. Well, and I got to do something on my own truck too, so I'll be calling you on that too here in the near future. But at any rate, appreciate it, Ken. We'll keep pushing people your way. The white stuff is slowly moving from west to east. It's now snowing here high atop the KLZ tower, so we'll keep pushing some folks your way.
Thank you, sir. Good show today. I'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it very much. Again, our sponsor from Quick Tread, 720-588-9055. And Ken made a really valid point about even if you've got a big four-wheel drive truck, if it does not have the right tires, good luck. Because on snow and ice, you've got to have the right tires to make things work. All right, let's go to Terry, who's up next. Terry, welcome.
Thanks, John. I got 2 questions.
Sure.
You always refer to CAFE rating. What is that?
Corporate Average Fuel Economy Ratings.
Oh, okay.
That's established by the EPA. Our friends at the EPA.
Okay, great. They're great fans, aren't they?
Oh, we just love them.
Yeah.
I say that safely.
My second question is a transmission in my 2010 Outback.
Okay.
And I've heard you guys talk about CRV transmissions.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
CRV. What does that?
Their CVT is probably what you're referring to.
Oh, CVT.
Yeah, constant variable transmission. Continuous variable is what I should say.
Can you tell me about that transmission? Is it's not so good?
They've gotten a lot better, especially on the Subaru end of things. And I'll have Jeff chime in, but the 2010s and they really have made good advancements on the Subaru side of the fence. Subaru went through a really big design change in 2009, And I don't know, Jeff, what you're finding, but the later model ones just really they're not that bad. They actually work pretty well.
The technology has definitely come almost full circle, I would say. They're definitely a lot better. The earlier units were questionable. There's not a lot of repair stuff out for them, so it's hard for the independents to actually do a rebuild on one. But as far as the working of them, especially in this weather, I would think that they'd probably be pretty slick road friendly. Actually,
that's right,
because of the way they work. The one thing I can tell you is if you get it stuck, don't even think about trying to rock it.
Right.
You dig it out, have somebody help push it out, or call a tow truck to get it out.
Because the rocking is really hard on it, is what Jeff's trying to say.
It's going to overheat everything in there, and then you're going to have a warranty issue if it's a new one, where they might not cover it. And yes, we can tell when they've been rocked.
Yeah, you know by the heat inside.
By the heat inside and wear on the parts inside.
Right.
They'll heat up that quick, huh?
Yes, they will.
Are you from? Yeah, just along those lines, Terry. This is for everybody else listening. Are you familiar with the old? You've been around long enough to remember the old, mini bikes or snowmobiles and the way the automatic, kind of clutch belt system worked in those units.
Like a centrifugal.
Yep. Yep. That's essentially what is in your transmission.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So that same thought process, that same basic design is what's in every CVT transmission to a point. Now, sometimes they get a lot fancier with how they're doing it and how they actually apply the I don't want to say it, apply the pressure to the chain or the belt, depending upon the type of transmission that it is. And they've gotten really fancy with even being able to even feel like it has a shift point and things like that. But the reality is it's still the same basic premise.
It's a variable pulley design basically, and when they have like the low speed range or the low range, they actually lock those pulleys at a certain point to where they won't expand or contract to vary the speed.
The problem though, when you start rocking it back and forth, is just think about the snowmobile. When you have a snowmobile stuck, and if you continue to try to get that thing out of the snow, you're rocking it back and forth. I've seen guys literally burn the belt up on a snowmobile because of the heat they're generating, because nothing wants to move, but yet the pulleys are trying to grab. Think of that going on inside of your transmission when you're rocking it back and forth.
Yeah, that's a good description. I can understand that. I was on some real muddy bad road going up a slight hill, and it crawled through it really, really great. I was amazed, really. And but I got to one point where I had the pedal gas down, and there was just and I backed up and got another shot at it and walked out of it. But
yeah, now you can kind of understand why you felt that, because again, just like a snowmobile, when they're stuck and the tracks are stuck and you're trying to apply all the RPM you can, the belt's trying to grab. The problem is if the tracks won't move, now what's happened is you're just generating a lot of heat and friction on the belt, thereby doing damage to the components at the same time.
So is there a reason they went to that CVT transmission? Or
yeah, it's lighter. They'll do better with fuel economy. You're going to see, and I predicted this several years ago, and I've been right so far. Originally, it was a Nissan design. Nissan actually owns a good portion of the company that really started the CVT transmission movement, if you would. Jatco is the name of them. And Nissan kind of started that. And my prediction years ago was you would see other companies come along and learn from that, and even learn from some of the mistakes that Nissan made. And guess what's happened? Exactly what I said. They're now in almost every major manufacturer known today. I don't know of anybody, with maybe the exception of GM, that's not doing a CVT transmission. I think everybody else, to my knowledge,
as far as I can tell, GM had kind of a bad taste in their mouth from the views.
They're doing more speeds, if you would. Yeah. But even Chrysler, they've gone with more speeds and have CVTs in certain models that they produce. So really,
And what about that fluid? You can't check it.
It's a special fluid.
Special fluid, manufacturer only. There's some, now here we go again. There's manufacturers that say that they have CVT fluid, but I highly recommend
using the factory fluid.
Using the factory fluid.
I agree with you.
Period.
Yeah. So in your case, if you need to top off or do anything with it, exchange it. And really, there's no reason, unless the fluid leaks, there's really no reason to check it. It's really more of a service than it is anything else, because if it's not leaking out, there's nowhere for it to go. That's why they make them a sealed unit and don't want you messing with them.
Or if you think that it's gotten overheated.
Correct. Then it would need to be serviced.
Yes.
It's not a check, it's a service.
It would be a service where you want to exchange all that fluid out. And the reason you want to do that is if you've overheated that fluid, you've probably burned up the adpack in it.
In other words, so Terry, I would order fluid from Subaru, have it in the garage, because chances are you're never going to use it anyways.
Can you use synthetic?
No, it is a special CVT transmission fluid per manufacturer. And it is a synthetic blend, but it's designed for that CVT transmission. So it is a special fluid. You won't find any substitutes for it.
Would you change it at 40,000 miles?
Whatever the manual in your car says to do, unless you've been in a situation like Jeff just said, where it's gotten hot for some reason, I would go off their recommendations.
If you suspect that you've gotten that hot, I would highly recommend getting it changed.
Well, at that one particular incident, I don't think it was long enough to get hot. It was just.
Probably not at that point. You're probably okay. You're probably fine.
You guys are great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Terry. Thanks so much for the phone call. We gave a lot of information out there, but that was very generic to a lot of people driving what is now or will become the kind of the staple transmission. In fact, for a lot of cars, it's already that staple, Jeff. It's in a lot of cars that they drive on the new car side of the fence, so getting more and more popular. All right, Tony in Denver, hang with us. You've got a question of purchasing a car. We're up against a break. We'll come right back.
We're committed to providing the highest level of service possible to our customers. Our highly trained technicians are ASE certified and are dedicated to providing you with world-class service. We have years of experience working on both domestic and import vehicles of all makes and models, and will work with you to find cost-effective repair and maintenance alternatives. We don't have hidden fees, and we don't do unnecessary repairs. Serving Parker and the surrounding areas, come and see us, the professionals at Extreme Auto, and rest easy knowing you'll get quality work done for a fair price. Our promise to you, extreme service, extreme satisfaction. Call us to schedule your appointment today.
Ever try to buy an air filter and get lost in catalogs and vehicle descriptions? Well, K&N, the inventor of reusable cotton filters, has got the answer to the mess. Just visit knfilters.com and enter your vehicle identification number off your dashboard or car registration, and K&N will show you the filter that fits your car. It's never been easier to buy a K&N, the filter that helps your car run better.
Need a one-stop auto repair solution in northern Colorado? At Fort Collins 4x4 Center, they service and maintain more than just 4x4s. From diesel pickups to economy cars, their team of service specialists and technicians have the computer diagnostics, tools, and expertise to service and repair any make or model. They combine their skills with integrity, giving you the best service in the industry. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, you can trust your vehicle to Fort Collins 4x4, located just a few blocks north of Old Town on College Avenue in Hemlock. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 until 5:30, with convenient shuttle service and after-hours drop. If you're ready to form a solid relationship with an auto repair shop, the new owners at Fort Collins 4x4 are committed to providing the professional and personal service you're looking for. Give them a call at 970-482-5500. 970-482-5500. Check them out on the web at FortCollins4x4.com or follow them on Facebook at FortCollins4x4.com.
Hunting down that hard-to-find part for an out-of-the-ordinary car can be quite a time-consuming chore. Unless, of course, you just go around the corner to your local Napa Auto Parts store, where we have over 310,000 parts, all of them made to fit and perform just like the original. Yeah, there are people who say it's the journey and not the destination, but those people have never tried to find an alternator for an 82 Fiat on a Saturday. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
I'm going to teach you right now how to find a good, honest mechanic. Ask about the warranty. Their warranty will tell you everything you need to know because their warranty is their word. And Colorado Select Auto Care Centers all offer the best warranty in the state. 3 years, 36,000 miles on every repair. Always select a Colorado Select Auto Care Center at coloradoselect.org. 3 years, 36,000 miles. That's all you need to know.
All right, Drive Radio is back. Not that we ever went anywhere, but we're back from our break. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560. Let's go to Tony right away. Tony, welcome. What's going on today?
Hi, could you give me your recommendation on a particular car I'm looking at?
Sure, love to.
I'm looking at a Ford Focus, and I'm looking at a used car anywhere between a 2008 and a 2011 with about 50,000 miles on it. What do you think about a Ford Focus in general during that time frame?
They're not a bad car. It's in fact last week Kurt Anderson from Anderson's Automotive was on with us, and I'm not a huge Focus fan. He happens to drive one, loves his. We've had a lot of guys that have come through our program here that have owned Focuses, drive them, etc. For me, it's just not. It's not a car for me personally. Doesn't mean I've got anything against the car. If you can find the right one, and in that particular era, it's going to come down more to this: who's owned it, how well has it been maintained, have you got a good pre-purchase inspection done on it? All those things are way more important than the actual make and model of the car itself.
Yep. What is it that you don't particularly like about it?
For me personally, it's more of a how it fits me, how I feel in the cabin, all of those sorts of things for me in general, how it works with my back, etc. That's more just me personally than it is the car itself. And that's just why I personally am not a big fan of the car. Even when I go rent one, I do my best not to rent one just because of that.
Can you recommend someone that can do a pre before I buy it?
Yes.
Check?
Where are you located at, Tony?
I'm in Denver, but I'll be buying it from Auto Trek in Littleton.
Yeah, go over to Geno's, talk to John or Steve there. Either one of them can help you out. They're going under some remodel, or they're in some remodeling right now. Don't let that scare you. Shop is still open. All their guys are still there. They're highly qualified. They can do exactly what I just said.
And what is their number?
It's Geno's. I tell you what, I'm going to put you on hold. Larry's taking a call right now. As soon as he's off, he'll give you their number. Let me put you on hold, Tony, and he'll get that for you. Hang tight.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll get that over to Geno's and get that inspected. Larry, if you would talk to Tony on the first line there, tell him about Geno's, how to get their address, phone number, all that good stuff. And let's go to Randy in Thornton. Randy, welcome.
Good morning. I'm freezing up here. How about you?
We're in the studio here. It's not too bad, but looking out the window, it doesn't look too great. It's snowing, and the roads aren't covered yet, but it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's here. Hey, I got a question on my all-wheel drive Trebia. I just had a whole bunch of work done on it recently to get it to 300,000 miles. It's going to make it, but I got a funny noise in my right front drive axle. These are brand new axles, just put them in, and to me, it's kind of a clunking noise, and sometimes it's slow speed sounds, and other times it's real high speed. It sounds kind of like a machine gun at times. And this just started last weekend.
And you say they just put drive axles in it?
Yeah, drive axles about a month ago.
Did they rebuild yours, or did they put remanufactured axles in it, or do you know?
Yeah, they got remanufactured ones from a local rebuild place here in town.
I would tell you to go back and get another one because that one's bad.
It sounds like you got a bad axle.
Yep.
Or something happened on the install.
Yeah, there's still something wrong with that axle.
Yeah, are the CV joints themselves sometimes just bad inside there?
Well, if they rebuilt them and did all that properly, that should have all been done when they put that remanufactured shaft in. That's why we're not, personally, and again, a lot of guys out there are probably going to shoot me for saying this, but I am not a big fan of rebuilt axle shafts, even if they're coming from some of the guys that in town do them. Buy a production-made reman from Napa, some source like that axle shaft, and go that route. You will be much better off.
And sometimes you're better off just going ahead and buying new, and you might
Or new, that's right.
might be surprised at the price on the new one because it's probably not much more than what the reman.
That's right. Because the labor is so expensive on the remans, you can sometimes buy a brand new one right off the shelf as cheap as you can a reman unit.
Okay. Well, I figured it was something to do with that accident.
It is. I would take it back, and hopefully they'll warranty it out for you and get that handled because they need to. Because it's exactly what you're describing is exactly what you know, I would be surprised if that's not it.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that's if there was no noise before the recording.
And that's what's wrong with it. There you go.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
You're very welcome, Randy. Appreciate that. And you know, there's always bad. You know, there's people make parts. You know,
you have bad parts.
That's right. Stuff happens. So, Paul, back to we were talking through the break. The underinsured, uninsured motorist side of the it's not that expensive. What should they be looking for, whether they're buying it from you or they've already got insurance, they just want to make sure that it's accurate? I would recommend they just call you to go over it with you. But let's say they're just sitting there right now looking at their policy, reviewing it. What should they have?
When you look at your auto policy, you want to look at all the different line items, and you're going to have the first one is going to be BI, and that stands for bodily injury. You're going to want to have at least 250, 500 or higher.
Okay.
I just run across people that have 100, 300, but you want to have 250, 500, and then on your property damage, which is going to be the PD, that's what covers other people's things, whether you hit a light pole, run into somebody else's car, hit a barricade, that kind of stuff. If that's not what covers your own car, so you want to have at least 250,000 on that.
Okay, so and I'm going to stop Paul for just a minute because I don't think everybody probably just followed that. So property damage, as in you have an accident and you hit that light pole that might have a $10,000 price tag on the light pole, which I'm probably not far off in my price on that.
I've had people hit light poles in Denver and it's 30, 40,000.
So there you go. So by the time they get labor in, redo whatever wiring is there, it might have had a camera, some sensors, what have you. All of that is considered property damage, and if you're not covered for that, they're still coming back on you.
Correct.
Right?
6 years ago, it was 14,000.
Wow.
My son hit one.
Okay, so it's expensive. The point being, same thing. Cones, orange barrels, signs, parking lot signs, you name it. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about with property damage that's not involving your exact vehicle you're trying to get fixed, correct?
Correct. Well, and then think about the weather today, a 3, 4, 5 car accident that you hit somebody that hit somebody that hit somebody.
And you're just that chain reaction, and you're the guy that was at fault.
Yep. 15,000 is not going to cover one car, let alone 5.
So why, dumb question. And again, this is for our weekly show. I should probably get you back on during the week. Why such low minimums? That just doesn't make any sense to me. That does $15,000. No offense. That doesn't do anything anymore.
That's state law, and I think a lot of people buy insurance online based on what the price is. They don't care what the coverage is. They just see, hey, it's going to be $35 a month. I'm good with that. Move on, purchase it, and don't look.
Any of you legislators that are out there listening, which I know a lot of you do, that's not enough.
No.
I know we just got a new crop coming in, and I don't know how that would work. But, and again, I'm not a big one for government intervention and regulation, et cetera. But when it comes to keeping our state citizens, sound, safe, protected, et cetera, $15,000 is not enough, folks. It just isn't. That doesn't, when you look at a bumper assembly on most late model vehicles, and just the bumper alone, so somebody just has a little fender bender, they bump into the back bumper, that can be $4,000 or $5,000 all by itself.
Oh, easy.
That's not uncommon. So $15,000, if you get totaled and you're driving, back to the point we talked about earlier, you're somewhere on a used car like that, you'll pay 10 grand or so for that car. That's just barely getting underneath that state minimum.
Yeah.
It means we should all go out and buy a bunch of old cars and drive old cars, not new cars.
Yeah, that's scary.
It really is. So, folks, look at your policy line by line. We're going to come back and keep talking about some of these things. We got about another minute left before we go to break. Paul, anything else you want to add to that before we go to break?
Well, and you want to also look at your uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. This is what protects you and your passengers, because a lot of people will carry the state minimums on that. But if somebody hits you and doesn't have enough insurance or doesn't have any insurance, that's what's going to protect you from the hospital bills, time away from work, physical therapy, all that stuff.
Okay. Folks, more of that to come. As you can tell, insurance, and Paul always says, John, I don't like really coming on. Insurance isn't that sexy. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter whether it's sexy. It's needed. and it protects you. That's why it's called insurance.
Reality is not glamorous.
That's right. You have to have it. And lastly, you want to make sure that you have proper coverage. And folks, all of you that are listening to me, we have really good, top-notch listeners. Most of you own cars, homes, things along those lines. You are a prime candidate for Paul and the type of insurance that he can provide you, because he's not going to provide bottom of the barrel insurance. He's going to review your policy, make sure it matches you, your lifestyle, your asset range, all those different things. Call him 303-619-9891. He will make sure you have proper coverage to protect yourself, because the last thing you want to do is lose assets over something stupid like not having enough insurance. So we'll talk about being overinsured throughout the show also, because you can also do that. You can be insurance poor by buying too much. Those are topics we'll continue to cover. 2 more hours coming up. Drive Radio. John Rush, your host, along with Paul Leuenberger from Chrome Insurance, actually American National, and Jeff Kitty from Larry's Automotive over in Westminster. Matt, thanks for the first hour. Also, Larry Unger will be back right after this. Don't go away. Blaze News is next. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560.
I'm not coming here, wasting all my time. Cause when you're still so near, I got lose my mind. It's not nothing that you will.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers, the independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select, hold each other accountable for their highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business, so Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. For the complete list of all the member shops in the state, visit drive-radio.com.
Hi, this is Scott Watley. Join us every Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. for Sportsman of Colorado. Hunting, fishing, camping, guns, and ammo. We'll get you ready for the big game late rifle season, upland bird hunting, and tips on making your next waterfowl hunt a success. Check out our website, sportsmanofcolorado.com. If you love the outdoors, you'll love Sportsman of Colorado. Sportsman of Colorado, Saturdays, 1 to 2 p.m. right here on KLZ 560.
Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence. What is the vision of these words, and how do we empower these ideas today? Kim Munson here. Join me and my fellow American Molly Vote this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. on KLZ 560, as we get to the heart of the matter about the vision of the Declaration. We have some surprise guests scheduled, and you'll be smarter, more informed, and warmer. That's Heart of the Matter this Sunday on KLZ 560.
KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD. Listen live at KLZ560radio.com. KLZ 560, a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Mike Craig. A one-time part of the Obama administration kind of weighing in on what's become the Gruber Film Fest.
Former Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius asked about Obamacare architect Jonathan Gruber's remarks that the law was passed only by lying to what he called stupid Americans.
You could talk to Dr. Gruber about what he said, but I don't have a comment about his comments. Anything else?
Sebelius, speaking to the American Academy of Actuaries, bailed from the administration not long after the problem-plagued Affordable Care Act was rolled out.
And open enrollment for Obamacare begins today. Health and Human Services says improvements have been made to the healthcare.gov website that should translate into a smoother healthcare shopping and enrollment process. The president and the administration were hammered for last year's rocky rollout. The deadline is February 15th to select or change your healthcare plan. This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
Everyone is making a switch to the Blaze to make it their source for the truth. Why not make it your source for the truth? Make theblaze.com your homepage for news that the other outlets won't even touch. Subscribe to The Blaze TV at theblaze.com/TV or on Dish Network and get access to original programming like For the Record, the show that exposes what's really going on that the government doesn't want you to know. And Real News, the daily conversation on the topics of the day that matter most. Check out the Blaze Radio Network at theblaze.com/radio with original shows like Buck Sexton, The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson, Pat and Stu, and Jay Severin. Or if you need something to hold in your hands, subscribe to the Blaze magazine. So basically, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. This is the Blaze. Truth lives here. So just to recap, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. Find out all the ways at theblaze.com.
You've been listening to the Blaze Radio News on KOZ 560.
The Dennis Miller Show, Monday night at 10 on KLZ 560.
It's a mighty fancy automobile. Oh, she's the real road king, all right. 0 to 60, 7.5. 0 to quarter mile, 13.40. 390 horsepower, 500 foot-pounds of torque. Whatever that is, performance and image, that's what it's all about.
There's no such thing as a stupid question. This is Drive Radio. All of your automotive questions are just one phone call away. 303-477-5600. Drive Radio is made possible by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. To find one near you, go to drive-radio.com. Now, Drive Radio on KLZ 560.
It is Drive Radio, hour number 2. I'm your host, John Rush, and in studio with me today, I've got Paul Leuenberger from American National Insurance and Jeff Kitty from Larry's Automotive over in Westminster. And if it's Sunday afternoon, don't call in. Listen, keep listening. And I usually put the podcast up pretty fast, so you missed the first hour already, but you can go back and listen to that. We had a great conversation during the first hour of the show talking about insurance and CVT transmissions and tires in the winter and all different things, and really had a great first hour. So if you missed it, I would encourage you to go back and listen to the podcast. But if it's Sunday, thank you all for listening very much. I do appreciate it. Stay tuned. And right after Drive Radio is the Wealth Map with Jervis. He comes on right after us, so keep listening to KLZ. And then we got a great lineup all through the rest of the afternoon on into the evening, Americhecks, etc. So just keep listening. And then today, Saturday, if you are listening, you can call in. We've got lines open, 303-477-5600. I know it's cold and snowy, and the snow is kind of coming and going. Predictions are, depending upon where you're at in town, anywhere from 1 to 4 inches, depending upon what part of the metro area from, Castle Rock to Fort Collins you're in. But that's kind of the predictions. And it's kind of a repeat of what we had earlier in the week. It's not going to all dump it, one time. It's going to be, light flurries all the way through this evening. It's supposed to end by, 10, 11 o'clock or something tonight. But stay safe. Make sure your car's ready. Make sure you're ready. Driving in the snow is different than driving on the regular daily pavement. Dry pavement, I should say. So be careful, be alert, watch what's going on, and most of all, call us if you've got any kind of questions, 303-477-5600. By the way, Jeff's our resident transmission expert. Any of you that have transmission questions, call us. We're going to keep talking about insurance. We talked last week to Isaac, who's our new car guy. Isaac Bouchard, our broker. If you've got questions, new, used, otherwise, 303-475-1462 is his number. And by the way, call Isaac. He'll set you up with anything you want to do. Doesn't matter. Buying, selling, leasing, advice. When do I buy? When do I sell? What do I do? Isaac's the guy. He can help you. Has vast knowledge on what's out there. He can find cars for you if you can't find one. Don't go to Craigslist. Don't go to eBay. Don't go to Auto Trader. Just call Isaac. He'll help you out. He'll take care of you. Again, great guy. Everybody that we have as a sponsor, we highly endorse, or they wouldn't be here. Right, Jeff?
Yeah.
That's just how we do it. If we don't know these guys like these,
our sponsors represent us.
They do. They're a partner with us. So back to tires. Ken wanted me to make sure I mention this. So there's a $50 off deal. You got to go to his Facebook page, which, by the way, is linked right off of our Drive Radio Facebook page. That's Quick Tread, 720-588-9055. He already gives a special deal to Drive Radio listeners. If you need tires this week, they'll take care of you. And I needed to mention, I didn't do this during the first hour, that's all done mobily. So you can just be in your little house sitting in front of the fire, and Ken and Mike will show up, change out your tires. You could be at the office doing work. They'll come to the office, switch out your tires, whatever you need. You do not have to work around them. They will work around you. Great way of doing it. It's a great model, and I can see, even Paul's over here like, wow, they'll come right to you and do those tires.
That's impressive.
It's like Paul coming to you to meet with you over the insurance side of the fence. They're going to do the same thing on the tire side, which really is unheard of. So waiting in line, being 35 deep at Discount Tire on a snowy day, you don't have to do that with Quick Tread. It works really, and by the way, and I've used them, so I can say this personally. Yes, it works extremely well. So give those guys a call; they'll take care of you. All right, guys, let's get right into the show. We're going to talk more insurance, answer your questions, you name it. We'll talk about it. Joe has 3 questions, so Joe, we'll just get right into them. What's your first question?
Okay, my first question is that I've organized my life in such a way that I only drive on weekends.
Okay.
I can walk to work. So what that means, in both my car and my motorcycle, I don't put a lot of miles on them. So there's, like right now, I'm sitting in my van talking to you. I might put in 10 miles at most with my shopping.
Okay.
Okay, my motorcycle would be, I'll take it out on the weekend when it's warm enough. Believe it or not, I can do that here even in January and February.
Right.
Once a month, but not every weekend.
Got it.
And maybe I'll put 80 miles.
Okay.
So what I've been doing is I'm afraid of the gas getting stale. So I only put in, 3-4 gallons of gas in the car, and then maybe a couple of gallons in the motorcycle. And I know it's better to top off the tank in the winter, this and that, but I've had no trouble at all. So tell me if am I too paranoid? I do use Conoco or Shell.
What I would do is I would just change it up just a little bit. I would fill the tanks.
Yeah.
And use a product called Stable 360.
Okay, let me write that down.
You can Stable STABIL 360.
Okay.
And it's an additive that literally will give the shelf life on the fuel a year or more. I mean, you'll use it up by then anyways. But if you use that product, it's a good conditioner for the fuel itself. It'll do some protection inside the tank. So if there is any moisture, et cetera, it's a good barrier for all of that. But in your case, you just could keep the tank full. You'd always have it ready to go. If you did have an emergency that cropped up where you've got to go out and drive it, you don't have to worry about running to the station, topping the tank, et cetera. It would work really well.
I do have a question on town, which I do sometimes a month or more. And then I put in this table.
Okay.
And then what I find, maybe I'm putting in too much, I find that it seems to run a little faster. It kind of, you know what I mean? I can feel the difference, like on the motorcycle where I'm very sensitive to it.
Okay.
It seems to have more power.
It could. Now, what I would do is reverse that. If you know you're going to go on a longer trip, you really don't need the additives at that point because you're using enough fresh fuel. It doesn't matter when you come back to where
No. I mean, when I'm out of town, flying to Europe or to New York,
okay,
if the vehicles are sitting.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, use a Stable in that particular situation, you'll be fine.
So the fact that it seems to have more power, like, it doesn't matter.
No.
All right. Thank you for that.
Okay.
My other question, it has to do with tires. I have 4 Goodyear tires on my van, and I've noticed a small crack. It's parallel to the rim. It's anything not even an inch, maybe a half an inch, quarter inch from the rim. Now, these things are pretty belted on the sides. I wonder, is that something I should worry about at all?
Just keep watching it. It's starting to weather check. That means the tires are aging. And you can check to see the age date of the tire by just looking at the date code. It'll be a 4-digit code, which tells you the first 2 digits are the week the tire was made. The second 2 digits you kind of recommend, and I know there's lots of debate inside the industry, how long should tires last, et cetera, but if they're getting to be, 6, 7, 8 years of age, that's old enough that you probably ought to look at doing tires on it, whether they're good tread left or not.
So that means it's not that I bought them, 6 years ago, but
When they were made. If you bought them 6 years ago and they sat on the shelf for 2 years, for example, they may be 8 or 9 years old right now.
Okay, so you said but the first two are the days?
The week. So if say it says, let's say it's 15 of 10. That means it was made in the 15th week of 2010.
Ah, okay. Week year. Okay, last question is my son just bought a pickup in 2000 S10. Okay, he's got a V6 in it. And what he's telling me is that it's a 4-speed with overdrive.
Correct.
And got us to talking is what can overdrive mean these days? Is it just a higher gear? Does it have like a lockup in it, or
is it automatic or standard?
It's an automatic.
Automatic. It's got it's a 4-speed transmission. The fourth gear is automatic, is overdrive.
Well, that's what the guy told him, 4-speed overdrive.
Yeah, that's right.
Overdrive.
It's a 3-speed with a fourth overdrive.
That'll be on that model, that'll be a 4L60E. It's a fairly good unit. They do have their issues, but nothing wrong with it. They are about a third over from
28%.
Yeah, about 28% over.
And you want to just put it in gear and drive it unless you're hauling a big heavy load. In that case, you may want to leave it out of overdrive, but on an S10, you're not going to haul enough with it to where that's a big issue.
Yeah.
Well, is an overdrive mean it locks, or is it just a higher?
Okay, when that transmission goes into torque converter, okay, if it goes into overdrive, it has to be in lockup. Now, here's where people get into trouble with it. GM, because of complaints on shutters and rough running, they made that converter so it will come off in fourth gear at certain points in time. When you step on the gas, when you put on a brake,
it'll unlock and relock.
Yeah,
right.
It'll unlock and relock.
But to your point, Joe, fourth gear is automatic in the gear sync, however you want to say that. So it's going to shift from first to second to third to fourth. It'll stay in fourth unless RPM or something changes to kick it down into third gear, et cetera. But it's all automatic. Just put the thing in drive and go.
Don't have to worry about it.
Okay, gentlemen, I love your show.
Thank you so much, Joe. Appreciate the phone call. Line's open. 303-477-5600. Give us a call. We'll get you right on air. Again, lines are open. Let's get Larry busy. 303-477-5600. And right after our show today, I should have mentioned that earlier, Sportsmen of Colorado is going to be on. I'm going to try to get Scott Watley in just towards the end of the show if we can. Today, is gunfire affecting your hearing? He's going to have an audiologist on to talk about proper hearing protection, which us old guys never did like we should have, and it's affecting my hearing today. Also, concealed carry, if you want to use, or if you have to use your weapon, what are the next steps? And then waterfowl safety tips in the blind, decoy setup, etc. That's all coming up right after we're done on Sportsmen of Colorado. With that, let's take a quick break. We'll come right back, get some calls lined up. Again, John Rush, Paul Leuenberger, and Jeff Kitty, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle, regardless of make or model. Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each Colorado Select member currently offers Napa's Peace of Mind warranty, but are now also offering an extended 2-year or 24,000-mile warranty on repair work. You won't find this offer anywhere else. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-6272.
At Napa Auto Parts, we've been the most trusted name in auto parts for over 80 years. Probably because we've never stopped looking for ways to make the great parts we sell even better. It's a commitment to quality you'll find at every one of our 310,000 parts. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters, to the patented damping mechanism on our drive-align belt tensioners, to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And Napa parts are covered by a warranty that's good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores nationwide. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but at Napa, we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. To find the Napa Auto Parts store nearest you, go to NapaOnline.com. Napa, get the good stuff.
With over 125 locations in Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, there's only one place to get the good stuff. Napa Auto Parts.
After 30 years of business, Geno's Auto Service is expanding. Savings on all repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Geno's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Folsom Flat Canyon, or visit us online at genosautoservice.com. That's genosautoservice.com.
Your car performs better when things are simple. And it's easy to see how the maze of plumbing under the hood can slow it down. A K&N AirTake system replaces the maze with a single custom engineered tube. The result? A guaranteed increase in horsepower, a dramatic increase you can actually feel. Visit K&N website to look up the extra horsepower available for your vehicle. K&N, an American manufacturer since 1969.
All right, we are back. Lines are full. As soon as somebody drops off, call us and we'll get you right on air. 303-477-5600. Ray is up first. Ray, what's going on today?
Hi, Ray. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Good talking to you.
You too. Well, my husband loves to listen to your show, so that's why I had to
Thank you.
catch up to you. But the reason why I'm calling is I'm thinking about purchasing a Impreza, or Subaru Impreza wagon.
Okay.
And
Good car, by the way.
I was going to ask you about your opinion, and if you could recommend a good dealership. I live up in Thornton, and I know there's Mike Shaw up here.
Okay, second question first. Just call our broker, Isaac, and he'll do everything for you. You don't have to go to the dealership. He can do everything. He can handle it. He can get you in the right car, color, test drive, whatever you want to do, and you don't have to hassle with all of that dealership nonsense. It's 303-475-1462.
Okay.
He knows those cars inside and out. And now back to the first question. Is it a good car? Yes. Subaru right now, their entire lineup, they are building fantastic cars. There's not a bad Subaru you can go buy today. I don't care what line, which car in their line it is. They're all good.
Okay. Now, as far as trade-in,
Isaac can do all that also.
Yeah, I have like a Protege Mazda. It's a 2003, less than 16,000 miles.
Oh, wow.
Excellent condition.
Yeah.
It smells brand new on the inside too. So I don't know.
What
are they on trade-in?
Well, let me give you the explanation of how Isaac does it. Isaac, since he's a broker, deals with lots and lots of people, way more than even the average car salesman does at a dealership. So Isaac typically has a list of people that have wants for cars, quote unquote. In other words, they've given him, hey, Isaac, if this particular type of a car shows up, call me. I'd love to buy it. So he already has a list for a lot of types of cars. So again, even on your trade-in, call him, tell him what you've got, get together with him, tell him what you want to buy. He'll put all of it together, and even to the point where he shows up one day with your new car, you sign the papers, give him the old car, and he drives away.
Wow.
It works out fantastic. It's just a no-brainer.
Wow. Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Great listening to you. Thank you for.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it very much, Ray. Enjoy your afternoon. Stay warm. But yeah, I think I should keep explaining that. And we don't talk near enough about that. It's turnkey. It's just like Paul. It's like our tire guys. It's, you don't have to go to that headache of which we've all been through. Sorry, going to the dealership's a headache, guys. It really is. I've got stories of my own. I won't get into all of them, but it's just a headache in that you get in there and it's not comfortable. I don't know, is that the right way to say it, guys? I'm not picking on any particular dealership or anything along those lines, but it's just an uncomfortable setting. You go through the salesman, all the mumbo jumbo back and forth of what's the car you're buying worth and what kind of deal can you get, and you got your trade in, and then after all that's done, you got to go to the finance guy and sit there for another 45 minutes getting hogtied about buying gap insurance and all the other things that are there, which by the way you can buy from Paul directly and save money. I mean, all of that stuff goes on. You leave, you just feel like you've been run through the ringer. Sorry, you just do. You don't have that with Isaac. So again, calling 303-475-1462. John is up next. John, what's going on today?
Hey, I've got a Honda Ridgeline 2010,
okay,
and it's got about 90,000 miles on it. But the transmission, it's like it's searching all the time. When you look at the tachometer, it bumps up and down, just a little bit if you're not accelerating and changing gears radically. And I'm just wondering if that's normal with that transmission. It seems like you can't make a decision if you're not pressing it or decelerating or accelerating. If it's you're just trying to be as conservative as possible when you're driving, on level or whatever. I'm not sure what's going on there. It seems abnormal to me, but I don't know if it is or not on that transmission.
I'm going to have to ask Jeff because I've not driven a lot of Ridgelines, so I don't know.
I can't say that I've driven a lot of them. How long have you owned the vehicle?
2 years now.
Okay.
It was a Florida truck before. I bought it from AAA.
Okay. The big thing that I would do is probably have it, bring it in, let somebody drive it and see what's going on with it. It could just be a matter of a lockup coming on and off. A lot of the newer transmissions are, I don't know how to put it, but they're shift busy.
That describes this exactly. Yeah, shift busy.
And it's due to the way they're programmed for fuel mileage, going back to the CAFE standards and everything like that. They want to maintain that fuel economy right at that one point. And that's one of the biggest problems that we have right now is we didn't used to have that. You had a little bit of lag between, first, second, third, fourth.
Not anymore.
Now we're talking first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh.
We have 9 speeds now.
And I was fooled on one here not too long ago. You look at it when you're taking off, and it's taking off in second gear, and it shifts to fourth. So I mean,
trying to save economy.
They're depending on driver and everything else. We've got adaptive shift learning on them and everything else. So if you got a bunch of different people driving the vehicle, that can affect all that.
I forgot about that adaptive shift learning stuff. Yeah, I had a 98 Honda Accord that the transmission went out at 120,000 miles. And the transmission shop said, Honda's had problems with these because they tried to up the fuel mileage by getting it to shift sooner to a higher gear. And it wore out the hard parts of the transmission. So what about CVT? I mean, does that eliminate all of that?
In a lot of cases,
it does because
it really does.
Constant variable.
So it's always, it's quote unquote always in the right gear. Because there's no gear. The right range is probably a better way for me to say that.
And it's based on computer, what the computer sees, the engine load and everything else. So it adjusts the transmission to engine load. So I mean, in that case, that's why they're using them, because they can adjust it infinitesimal on that.
Well, that CVT sounds interesting. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome. Appreciate the phone call. All right, before our break, let's go to Bob, who's got some insurance questions for Paul. Bob, welcome.
Good morning, John. I missed the first hour, so you may have covered some of this. I guess my first question would be if you're familiar with a book called Delay, Deny, and Defend.
I've never heard of it.
I haven't.
It's a great book. It was written a couple years ago, which I didn't know existed.
Say it again. What's the title, Bob?
It's called Delay, Deny, and Defend.
Okay.
And actually, for those of us, let me And again, I mean, short me anytime you want. My wife and I have been involved since July of 2005 with an accident when she was rear-ended on Colfax at the red light behind an RTP bus.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we've learned the reality of how the insurance system works when you have a claim.
Yeah.
And the book is amazing, and it explains kind of what happens, the reality of what happens in the industry with their lack of motivation to pay claims because it cuts into their profit big time. And John, you made a comment about, you guys still there?
Yeah, we're here.
I'm going to die. I'll call you back.
Yeah, that's fine. But I'd love to hear the rest of your story. Call us back. Okay. We'll take a quick break. We'll just bring you right back right after the break.
Okay.
Okay, sounds great. We'll just do that. Bob's got a great story, by the way. Great listener, calls me even during the week. Very, very smart guy. I want to hear what Bob has to say. And what I would add to what Bob just said is, yes, there are a lot of insurance companies out there. Ampac's not one of them. I wouldn't be with them today if that weren't the case. But there are a lot of insurance companies out there that hate to pay claims.
I hear them all the time.
Literally. And Paul's not going to disagree. Sitting here as an insurance agent, he will tell you because he sees the other sides. I say sides plural because it's not just one company that doesn't like paying claims. There's a lot that don't like paying claims. And, I'm actually commercially with another company, not Paul, that I think at times likes to pay them too fast. But I've got a good insurance company. And also have Paul doing all of my home and home auto, et cetera, and does a great job. And I can already tell you that that's not how Ampac does things. But there are a lot of companies out there, and there's some fly-by-night companies out there that literally they just hate paying claims because that's how they keep their money in the bank. Plain and simple. There's no lies about that. So let's go to a break. We'll come right back. We'll get Bob as soon as we come back from the break. And again, John Rush, your host, KLZ 560 Drive Radio.
At Arvada West Auto, we know that fluids are the life of your vehicle. They are also complicated, with all the different types, from motor oil to gear oils to coolant. The types of fluid service procedures and intervals can vary widely. Let us help you sort out what your vehicle needs and when it needs to be serviced. Stop in or call us at Arvada West Auto, 11752 West 64th Avenue, 303-422-1065. You can visit us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com.
Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 303-427-2108 for an appointment or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care.
We've all been there. You run to the hood and suddenly realize you don't have the parts you need. Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that'll make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty good at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right part store is. Go to Napa online.
Year, 36,000-mile warranty on every auto repair says so much more than if it's not right, we'll try to fix it again. A 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty tells me that this is a master mechanic who's confident, who knows what they're doing. I mean, nobody offers a warranty like that, right? Colorado Select Auto Care Centers do, and only the members of Colorado Select offer a warranty this good. Find a mechanic who's a member of Colorado Select Auto Care at coloradoselect.org.
All right, we're back. Drive Radio, John Rush, your host. We're going to bring Bob right back up. So, Bob, you got a better connection now?
Yeah, I was actually coming back to the airport.
No problem. Understand. So, continue on. I'm dying to hear the rest of your story.
Let me lay out the scenario. An RTD bus at a stoplight on Colfax.
Okay.
No issue of liability. Gentleman who ran into her is president of a large company, and we had not been to trial. She's had 4 operations on her neck, 1 more to come. Lives every day in daily pain. So we've really learned the system. And had I known 10 years ago what I know now, I would have a whole different approach. So I mean, I really think that in terms of having one of your weekday shows devoted to this and to maybe some legislative issues, let me digress for a second and talk about your comment about why are the minimums so low, and choosing my words carefully. The same people who brought you the minimums are the ones who are concerned that a $1 or $2 charge for identification card.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes. So I know where you're going. We talked about that through the break on our own. We know exactly where you're going, and I agree wholeheartedly. And you're right. That's a weekday topic.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but the way that the reality of the way the system works, and again, unfortunately, I've become an expert in this, is that the companies have zero incentive to pay you until the absolute last minute.
Yep.
And you know, addressing a couple of issues, and you may have, in the discussion of the first hour, you may have gotten into it. I think that among the things that I think most people don't understand is that uninsured motor, you know, UIM, uninsured, underinsured. I mean, I didn't know that underinsured included, I didn't know that uninsured included underinsured until I've had to learn about it. You know, people don't realize that coverage, and I respect your, I'm sorry, what's the expert's name? Paul, I respect your expertise, but let me tell you real world. Real world is if you have that coverage, and if it's available for whatever reason, either uninsured or underinsured as they defined it, then what you're doing is you're paying your insurance company to defend the driver who hit you, who the at-fault driver, if it's other than you. And you're paying your insurance company so that you have coverage for them to defend the person that runs into you. And that's how it works. And I can give you two examples. Progressive, this is a case that we saw a couple of years ago in Baltimore. 21-year-old gal living at home is T-boned and killed. The driver that hit her had $25,000 minimum coverage. Her parents had $100,000 UIM coverage with Progressive. Progressive basically entered the parents to defend the guy who T-boned her running through the red light, no issue of fault. And you know, they lost in court, but that's the way it works.
Yeah. And the reason they do that is to try to reduce their claim.
Exactly. In our case, yeah. And had we not had the staying power to pay for all the medical costs that we've incurred, the other way the system works, you can get coverage for your vehicle fairly quickly. That settles quickly.
Right.
But you do not get $1 of payments towards medical expenses. Case. So in our case, I say we're approaching $300,000.
That's right.
And it's unbelievable. But again, and in our case, let's see, December of last year, which would have been 8 years after the accident, our insurance company, State Farm, who we've been fighting with for a couple of years under our UIM coverage, basically entered an appearance on behalf of the defendant, president of a large company, 3 attorneys on his team, saying that when he admitted that it was his fault, he didn't know what he was doing. True story.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm a little jaundiced. As I say, the book's an excellent read.
I'll read it because you know me, and you know, given the fact that I insure over 75 vehicles, and we have our share of things that happen, etc. We deal. In fact, I'm dealing with one right now where I had a sweeper driver that's driving up I-25 northbound, heading up to Loveland, 4:30 in the morning. Sees a car coming way behind, gets in the right lane, which he already was in the middle lane, but gets over in the far right lane, gets over as far as he can in the far right lane because he keeps seeing these lights get closer and closer and closer, slows from 65, got GPS reports, goes from 65 to 55, and gets hit so hard in the back end, it spins my sweeper around, rolls it, and it's now totaled. And I'm now fighting with a company called Ameriprise, which, by the way, if they're an insurance company of yours, drop them, go get somebody else that actually knows what they're doing because these guys stink. They're doing everything Bob just mentioned. So I can reiterate everything Bob's saying because they're doing everything possible to not even acknowledge that I'm there. And I'm waiting now next, Bob, for them to blame it on me.
Oh, yeah. That's my wife's case. She shouldn't have been. She shouldn't have been waiting for the light to change behind the bus when the guy runs into her. The other comment, I'll get off, but just kind of, and I'm happy to talk with you guys further on, The other problem is the way that UIM coverage, in our case, I'm only familiar with 2005 with State Farm, but the way State Farm's policy, the literal language of the policy basically says you do not have coverage. So first you pay for this insurance, which again is for them to defend the person who causes the accident of the, to you.
Right.
And it basically says, the policy literally reads, you do not have coverage under UIM until you have exhausted any possible source of coverage, which makes sense. I mean, basically, they say in our case, there's multiple insurance companies involved, but we have no claim, we can't even file a claim because we have no coverage with State Farm. We argued that with them for 2 years until the judge locked us all in a courtroom last December in a hearing and basically demanded somebody from State Farm come there with their attorneys and agreed to allow us to take a partial settlement from one of the insurance companies. As I said, I could go on, go on and on, but this has been our life for, basically almost 9.5 years. So
Wow.
I think it's a great idea for you to do a show, but and I think more of this subject on the Saturday show is appropriate because people really don't understand it. And I'm an old guy, relatively experienced in life and business. Did I ever sit down and read word for word the policies? My policies, did I ever understand the language? No, I trusted my agent.
That's right.
He was a great guy. I love him to death, but he had no clue of the reality of how, in a situation like we've been through, things work.
Yeah, so, great point, Bob. Right. I'm going to take your suggestions, and I will do what I can to talk about that during the week. My lineup might be changing ever so slightly. We'll talk about that as it potentially does. Maybe getting a little more time is what I'm trying to get at there during the weekdays. Which, if we do, it'll give us some time to talk about some of these things. But no, Paul, to his point, it's not only do you need to know your agent, you need to know the company behind the agent.
Yeah, you need to do research online to see what the complaints are, to see what the good things are. I mean, you'll hear more bad than good always, just because that word travels a lot faster. But you definitely have to do research and talk to have dealt with those companies firsthand, not just on their rates, but more so on what you're paying for claim-wise.
And by the way, do the research on what the company stands for. Now, I'm getting into territory that I should cover during the week, but I'm just going to throw it out there right now. There are certain insurance companies I personally will never give a dime to. One of them being Progressive. What do you think that name means? And who do you think owns it? It's a guy that's very deep in the left side of politics that basically is bringing to you all of the policies we don't want in the first place. He's the guy that owns it and is making buku bucks off of it to then just go fund more of what the left is wanting to do in regards to Obamacare and on and on and on we go, things that aren't benefiting any of us. So are there insurance companies I won't buy from? I just named one. And there's others out there. I've named 2 so far. So yeah, to Paul's point, do your research. It's not that hard to find this stuff out. So yeah, I'll say it right now. Progressive will never, ever be one of my sponsors on Drive Radio. It's not going to ever happen because I don't like their politics. Sorry, I just don't. They're funding all the wrong things. Or let me rephrase that. They're funding everything I don't believe in. So we'll be back. We're going to talk more. Let's keep going. Devil's up next. We did take a break. Are we behind? Am I caught up? Where are we at here? I almost lost our good time here. Matt, tell me. Are we good? Do I need to take a break? Are we fine?
We got about 4 minutes.
Okay, we're good. All right, we're going to go to Dill then. He's next. Dill, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, I got a money maker for you guys. Any of you guys got an empty bay in your shop?
Some probably do at times, yes.
Well, why don't you guys set up to spray the outside of the trucks or vehicles with Rhino liner?
Well, that's an interesting topic I've never ever talked about on this show. When I owned my 2 4-wheel drive stores for 27 years, I looked into lots of different spray-on bed lining products, not just Rhino lining, but there's the whole gamut. I did my research on every one of them. And I will tell you right now why I never did it, and I probably would not recommend any of my guys to do it. The EPA regs on spray-in bed liners and the risks of workman's comp claims on down the road far exceeded what I thought was profitable-wise to actually do that particular business.
Is that right? Now I'm talking about the outside of the truck.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter because my point is the carcinogens that actually come off of all of that, the cancer-producing, sides of the fence, etc. I never felt comfortable putting an employee of mine in that risk, if you would, quote unquote, spraying, doing spray-in bed liners, etc. So I never got into it.
Okay, what about armor plating then?
That would be different. That would be worth doing.
I mean, it's just parking lots are just terrible.
Yeah, they are. You're right about
brand
that.
new truck with 65 miles on it.
Oh, they're terrible.
I parked up at King Supers, the Applewood one.
Yep.
Where they're remodeling it.
Yes.
And one of the contractors, I was parked on the end next to the island side. I would only have
one side open. Yep. I know what you do. I do the same thing.
He backed and he almost, well, let me tell you, someone at, let's say at this point, someone backed in and busted my tail light.
Wow.
Brand new.
Wow. Yeah, that just, you just want to cry when that happens.
The worst thing is, because I went to the bank and the post office before there, and I knew it didn't happen there, so I drove back, because my wife come home, and she goes, someone hit you.
Oh, boy.
What? So I went back up to the parking lot, and there was my 2 pieces of plastic.
Wow.
And so I went inside, and they go,
they've got cameras. They should be able to show that.
They don't got them. They say they don't got them. They only got them by the door. They said, sorry, we don't own the parking lot.
And they're somewhat correct in that, although they don't own the lot. If it's in their parking area, they do have some liability to help you.
Do that because it probably happens every day, all the time.
Yes. If they were smart, they would figure out what contractor backed into you if it was a
When I
contractor.
find a guy, and the thing is, for long story short, I was at a different King Supers, and I was talking to the checker. I go shopping all the time. And she goes, yeah, me and my husband went up there that same day or whatever it was. And she knew who I was talking about because they almost backed up into them, except they had a bigger truck.
Well, and again, that's one where you want to get the insurance company involved and see if there's a way they can actually do any fact finding and try to help you with
Well,
that.
I already fixed it. I mean, it was $200
Yeah.
a pocket.
Not worth messing with. Yeah.
Well,
But it's
it
$200
is.
out of your pocket. That's the thing that you just hate.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a principle.
I hear you. Hey, Dale, appreciate you calling in. We got to run to a break. We're going to come back. Eric's got a comment on insurance. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. Lines open 303-477-5600. I'm your host, John Rush. Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
At Napa, we're always trying to make the great parts we sell even better. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And every Napa part is covered by a warranty good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. Go to NapaOnline.com for a location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Need a one-stop auto repair solution in Boulder? At John's 4x4 Center, they service and maintain more than just 4x4s. From big trucks to diesel pickups, their team of service specialists and technicians have the computer diagnostics, tools, and expertise to service and repair any make or model. They combine their skills with integrity, giving you the best service in the industry. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, you can trust your vehicle to John's 4x4, located on Arapahoe Road, just east of 63rd, behind Carpet 1. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 until 5:30, with convenient shuttle service and after-hours drop. If you're ready to form a solid relationship with an auto repair shop, the new owners at John's 4x4 Center are committed to providing the personal and professional service you're looking for. Give them a call at 303-449-2640. Check them out on the web or follow them on Facebook at johns4x4.com.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They've set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind Warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
Do you love things that require gas or diesel fuel to run? Do you need a job? Or are you just looking for a change? Napa Auto Parts is looking for delivery drivers and salespeople in all locations in the Denver metro area. If you have experience in the industry, that helps, but it is not mandatory. Please go to NapaAutoJobs.com NapaAutoJobs.com. Again, that's NapaAutoJobs.com, and fill out the application. Please mention Drive Radio on that application. Napa Auto Parts, an equal opportunity employer. All right, we're back. John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560. Again, if you got questions about transmissions, insurance, you name it, winter driving, tires, we're here to help you. 303-477-5600 is our number. We'd love to chat with you. And just kill me. So great comments that we had from Bob. Paul agreed with everything Paul said, or with what Bob said, and Paul's an agent. He knows exactly, and his point of checking out the company that you're going to deal with first. Don't just shop online and buy whatever the cheapest insurance you can find is, just so you can go down and get your registration. That's not helping you, especially if you own anything. If you own something, that's just suicide, in my opinion, Paul. That's just dumb.
Yeah, you're buying price, and you're gonna pay for it.
It's gonna bite you in the butt if you're not careful. It's exactly what will happen. All right, let's go to Eric, who's got a comment. Eric, what's going on?
Hey guys, just kind of a piece of advice to people. When you're buying insurance and they offer you your med pay coverage, buy more than you think you'll need. For years, I've only had $5,000 in coverage, but my wife was in a car accident back in January, a single vehicle accident. As we're going through everything, that $5,000
doesn't do anything.
If it was the only reason that it saved me at all, is because everything was initially billed to our health insurance, who applied all their various sort of discounts and reductions before the car insurance paid it, and they paid a total of $4,915, and out of an original $20,000 claim. And that was a learning experience. We've since up to now. I think I've now got $25,000, and when we renew at the beginning of next year, I'll probably up it a little bit more. But and all hers was the ambulance took her to the hospital. They did a MRI and had her there for about 4 hours and sent her home.
Yep. No, it is. It's extremely expensive. And Eric, you bring up a great tip. And Paul, you can talk to this. It's not that expensive, is it?
No, the MedPay is not, and it's worth having on there because it covers you on both. If you're at fault and if the other person hits you and doesn't carry enough, you've got the MedPay, and then you've got the uninsured motorist part of it. What a lot of people don't like about that coverage, just on the backside of it, is if you're sitting at a stoplight and somebody hits you and they're at fault, your own insurance company covers the first initial part of the MedPay, whatever's built into your policy. So like for Eric, if that's what happened to his wife, they'd have paid the $5,000 and gone after the guy that hit him. And I know a lot of people don't like that part of it because you can't ever get that money back. But it's coming out of the insurance company's pocket, not your own, and it doesn't count as a claim against you. It's just the principle behind it.
Yeah, I get that. But it's worth having. To Eric's point, it's worth having. Eric, I appreciate the phone call.
Sure. Hey, one other quick thing. Yeah. John, you're probably familiar with this. There is proposed legislation right now at the federal level that for commercial vehicles, it would quadruple the coverage that we're required to carry. It's right now the minimum is $750,000. They want to bump it to $4 million. My boss and I were talking about this the other day. She said that if that was the truck, she would be cheaper to go out of business.
So they're talking about increasing liability to $4 million, or what?
Right. Your minimum on
you can do an umbrella. I mean, not that I agree with that legislation because I don't, but you can buy an umbrella fairly inexpensively that would cover that.
For a trucking company, you have to carry a minimum liability.
Correct.
And it's right now it's $750,000. And you're talking, a lot of your small 1, 2, 3 truck operations, or your small fleets, which makes up the vast majority of the trucking companies out there. That's all they carry is the minimum.
Yeah.
Or maybe they carry $1 million and they're paying an astronomical amount. And if you start talking the cost for $4 million based on the size of the fleet, or even just for one truck, would be you get outrageous.
I have to look at that because I not disagreeing with you, but I don't know. I mean, I carry up to 10. I've got work job sites that I'm on that I have to have $10 million for what we do. So I have a $10 million umbrella policy, or it's not 10, but it makes my total 10. And that doesn't cost me any more than about $3 or $4 grand a year for that particular umbrella. I mean, that's not cheap, but it's not earth-shattering enough to put me out of business. But I don't know if that applies in the same circumstances you're talking about.
Yeah, they were saying that there was an article online I read not long ago that for a single truck operation at $4 million, with all of their insurance costs, the average one would go from $5,000 a year to about $20,000 a year.
If you can send me an article, I would love to research that, because this is a topic it sounds like I need to cover during the weekday show. So I would love information. Email it to me. I'd love to research it, Eric.
Sure, okay.
I'd appreciate that. That'd be awesome. Thanks for doing that. And it's John, J-O-H-N, at drive-radio.com. Send me some emails on that stuff, anything along these lines. I'd love to hear from you, because I will do a topic in the near future about insurance, because it does affect everybody. It affects me as a business owner, Eric, his company, Paul, you name it. It affects, and really it affects all of us that have insurance. Now, we talked through the break. There's a lot that don't. We just talked about earlier. Some of you that are maybe just tuning in during this first hour, or this second hour, first hour on a Sunday, 30% of the drivers around you are either underinsured or don't have insurance at all.
Yeah, it's over 30%.
Over 30%. So a third of the people around you don't have enough insurance or have none at all, and they're driving right around you, which means you better make sure you have enough protection on your side of the fence. Paul can actually help you with that. Again, Paul, give me your number.
303-619-9891 is my cell phone, and my office number is 303-662-0789.
All right, let's go to Bob. Bob and Parker. What's going on?
Yeah, John, I've heard in the past or read that if you use jumper cables to jump another car can damage your car, maybe blow the alternator. Is that true?
It can blow a lot of things if you don't do it correctly. That is true.
Okay, if you do it correctly, then it's fairly safe?
Yes. If it's done correctly and there's no arcing and you know what you're doing and you don't have any risk of hooking anything up backwards and on I go.
The other car doesn't have any issues.
The other car doesn't have a lot of load that you're trying to get. Our recommendation has been on Drive Radio now for several years to don't carry jumper cables around with you, to eliminate the possibility of jump starting somebody that you could then have issues with and or cause issues with them. I recommend a jump box. So if there's no way, you just want to be that guy, that good Samaritan, etc., that's great, that's fine, but do it with a jump box that's independent of your vehicle.
Okay, well, a guy came up to me a couple of years ago, was it an emergency, and I said no, so I just...
That is a good idea to do. I told my kids the same thing. It's not to not be a good Samaritan. You always want to try to help that person in need. But, in this day and age, especially in the city, we've got enough AAA tow trucks, you name it, where typically speaking, there's somebody 10, 15 minutes away that can come and help, that's got all the right equipment to do that and not risk something on your own vehicle.
Great. Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. Great question, by the way, especially that we should have had that today, Jeff.
Well, they're cheap.
They are. Jump boxes are under $100.
Well, for what is it? For about $130.
That'd be, again, quote unquote, that good Samaritan, which, by the way, I do in the wintertime when I'm out pushing snow, doing things along those lines. I usually have a good jump box. I buy one of the big blue ones from Napa. They're about $300, but for what we do as a commercial, right there, it's real easy, handy, and off you go. So that's the way to do a jump start. There are cables on the market that I think have some safety devices and such built in, but Jeff, I've never used them, so I can't attest to how well they work or don't work, because I've just never messed with any of that.
On the jump boxes, like you say, Christmas coming up, great Christmas gift.
Great idea. Let's go to Chris in Morrison. What's going on, Chris?
Well, I am working on a 93B 250 van,
okay.
And I want to put new tires on it, new brakes, new bearings, and whatnot. And I took it down for a front end alignment, and my alignment man said if it were him, he would put in a new steering gearbox. It does have power steering.
Yeah.
So I went on ahead and picked one up through Napa and swapped out the core right there at the time of purchase. And then when I got it home and dropped it in, realized I didn't have a place to put my low pressure line. And then looking at it, apparently you're supposed to unbolt the old low pressure line fitting.
Got it.
The,
Yep.
Yeah.
The old box.
my question is, why would they go through and rebuild the whole box and then?
Because the boxes are more universal than you think, and the fittings are specific for a vehicle.
Okay. Now, my next question, since I've had so much fun with this, I wound up getting with a replacement fitting from a junkyard.
Okay.
And but I noticed that the O-rings in my replacement, when they put it together, one of the O-rings was kind of flattened on one side. So I'd like to replace those O-rings.
Napa has all those.
They do.
Yes, they have an assortment. Just go down and match it up and buy another O-ring.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Now,
easy.
The assortment that I've seen them have, well, they're all black. And with O-rings, I found that they're color-coded, depending upon the
temperatures. Yeah.
Right.
And they should have in stock the different types of O-rings: the red, the green, the black, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
If not, I know they can order them per size, so that's not a big deal for them to get.
Okay.
Been down that path many times. Sorry, we run up against the top of the news break, which we cannot change. That comes no matter what. If I keep talking, it'll just cut me off. So I have no choice. Paul Bloomberg is with me today from Chrome, or AMPAC Insurance, as it's called, American National Insurance. Jeff Kitty from Larry's Automotive. And also we've got Larry himself on the other side of the glass. Larry Unger from Larry's Automotive. And Matt, our great engineer. We're going to be back. Don't go away. One line open is all 303-477-5600. Frank, Mike, hang with us. Don't go away. We'll be back right after this here on Drive Radio. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560.
A lot of money going there. They're wasting all my time. 'Cause when you still so near, I've got on your mind.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information, including your nearest Colorado Select Auto Care Center. That's drive-radio.com. Thanks for listening to Drive Radio, sponsored by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers on KLZ 560.
Drive Radio is a presentation of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. The independently owned and operated shops of Colorado Select hold each other accountable for the highest standards of technical expertise, honesty, and professionalism. They all understand that choosing a mechanic is risky business. So Colorado Select was created by this exclusive group of like-minded professionals who are dedicated to raising the level of consumer confidence in Colorado's auto repair industry. Schedule your next oil change at any of the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers heard on Drive Radio, and you'll immediately see the difference. .com.
Randy Corbin from The Morning Show. Call your Congress critter and our 2 United States senators. Demand a short continuing resolution to fund the government with language that expressly prohibits the Obama executive amnesty. Then enjoy your weekend and get ready. Next week on The Morning Show, we'll reflect with Christopher Doss, the mastermind behind the demise of Eric Cantor, on elections 2014. Susan McElway from the Washington Examiner on the now sidelined liberal agenda, their to-do list for their lame duck president. Of course, we'll have traffic and weather with Zach, your calls, and so much more. Everybody's listening to The Morning Show. How about you? Wake up with Randy Corcoran, 5 to 8 a.m. on KLZ 560.
Wednesday night is Ladies' Night at DCF Guns. Discounted shooting and gun rentals in their indoor climate and air quality control shooting lanes, because girls just want to have fun with guns. Find out more about DCF Guns on the Outline page at KLZ560radio.com.
Freedom, liberty, truth. KLZ AM 560, KLZ HD.
Listen live at KLZ560radio.com.
KLZ 560.
This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Mike Ray. As new allegations fly about the Obama administration's intentional deception in the passage of Obamacare, a news anchor recalls the mainstream media forcing her to stay quiet about the law's bad math.
When I was at CNBC, I pointed out to my viewers that the math of Obamacare simply didn't work. Not the politics, by the way, just the basic math. And when I did that, I was silenced.
Fox Business Network's Melissa Francis saying the mainstream media is also to blame for hiding the truth about Obamacare.
As a result of what I said at CNBC, I was called into management where I was told that I was, quote, disrespecting the office of the president by telling what turned out to be the absolute truth.
I'm Chris Vermillion, The Blaze News.
This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
Everyone is making a switch to the Blaze to make it their source for the truth. Why not make it your source for the truth? Make theblaze.com your homepage for news that the other outlets won't even touch. Subscribe to The Blaze TV at theblaze.com/TV or on Dish Network and get access to original programming like For the Record, the show that exposes what's really going on that the government doesn't want you to know. And Real News, the daily conversation on the topics of the day that matter most. Check out the Blaze Radio Network at theblaze.com/radio with original shows like Buck Sexton, The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson, Pat and Stu, and Jay Separate. Or if you need something to hold in your hands, subscribe to the Blaze magazine. So basically, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. This is the Blaze. Truth lives here. So just to recap, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. Find out all the ways at theblaze.com.
You've been listening to the Blaze Radio News on KLZ 560.
Randy Corcoran at 5, Laura Ingram at 8, Monday morning on KLZ 560.
It's a mighty fancy automobile. Oh, she's the railroad king, all right. 0 to 60 in 7.5. She did a quarter mile, 13.40. 390 horsepower, 500 foot-pounds. Whatever that is. Performance and image, that's what it's all about.
There's no such thing as a stupid question. This is Drive Radio. All of your automotive questions are just one phone call away. 303-477-5600. Drive Radio is made possible by the member shops of Colorado Select Auto Care Centers. To find one near you, go to drive-radio.com. Now, Drive Radio on KLZ 560.
All right, last hour of Drive Radio. I'm your host, John Rush, along with Paul Leuenberger from our great insurance sponsor. He is our insurance sponsor, I should say, Chrome or American National Insurance. His phone number is 303-619-9891. Appreciate him coming down. And also Jeff Kitty from Larry's Automotive, and they specialize in transmissions and all sorts of other things over in the Westminster area. Jeff, give me your phone number and where you're at real quick.
We're at 7231 Bradburn Boulevard. Our phone number is 303-427-2108. And we'd be glad to help anybody out that needs a hand.
Awesome. All right, let's take some calls. I've got a car review I'll do here in a moment, but let's keep rolling along. Mike, you've been holding along. What's going on today? Hello, Mike.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, or afternoon, I guess now.
Yeah, I guess it is. Snuck up on me.
Yes, it did. While you were on hold, it went from morning to afternoon.
Well, no wonder I feel older.
There you go.
Hey, quick observation, personal experience. A number of years ago, I was involved in a head-on automobile accident. I was driving a Chrysler minivan, and a fellow in a 3/4-ton Dodge pickup decided to jump the center line at the last minute and hit me at about a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
This was before airbags, and I was putting square pegs in round holes for a long time. But we come to find out we were both insured with the same insurance company, and there was no question about liability. But, man, they didn't want to pay for anything, and this was a well-known national company.
So
and it wasn't.
Why did they not want to pay anything? I'm confused.
Well, I think I can only speculate on that, but I didn't get any action out of them until I threatened to file a formal complaint with the state insurance commissioner.
Interesting.
And then all of a sudden they started writing checks.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, in fact, typically speaking, when it's the same company on both sides of the fence, that's usually a pretty cut and dry, easy thing to get taken care of, and they're going to go put it all on the other claimants. Well, I shouldn't say all of it, depending on how the policy's written, et cetera. But it shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, once it can prove liability, it's done.
All right.
Well, that's what I thought. The other guy was issued a citation, and
that's pretty cut and dry.
It was pretty cut and dry. But I'm telling you, getting them to write a check and pay for medical or anything is like pulling teeth.
It goes back to Don called in earlier and was talking about that, or Bob, I should say, was talking about that earlier, and that's that's part of what I'm going to read that book that he recommended we read and learn more about this, because it goes back to what we've been talking about really all through the show, which is make sure you know your company and do your reviews, do your research, find out how they are. And I will say this also, that in some cases, it's not necessarily the company themselves that ends up being the problem. It could just be one goofy adjuster or one goofy claims agent at a particular, insurance company that you end up having issues with. It may not actually reflect the way the rest of the company works. But to your point, you made a threat to make a claim with the insurance regulatory agency, and that's when things got going, and it shouldn't have to come to that.
It shouldn't, but that's what it took to get results. So, anyway, just an FYI for listeners.
I appreciate that.
Now, wintertime driving and my F-250 Power Stroke, love the truck. And of course, when the weather gets down this cold, I plug it in and it starts pretty easily. I've heard you talk about the differences in gasoline, and I believe there's some truth to that. So I've been using the brands that you recommend. What about diesel fuel? Is there any difference in diesel fuel?
Only the biggest thing with diesel you want to make sure of is that you're buying it from a retailer that sells a lot.
Yeah.
Because you don't want it sitting in the ground for 3-4 months at a time. Not that it would anyways, but the fresher the diesel fuel is, the better.
Yeah.
That's really the only. There's no top tier rating when it comes to diesel. So the better the diesel, the more they use of it, and making sure that it's, this time of year has got the right anti-gel additives, et cetera, in it, because we even had a couple of trucks this last week, and I know the co-op that we use, they put all the right stuff in it, but even when it gets that cold, sometimes you've got to add a little of your own to make sure that it works correctly.
Right. I usually go ahead and add a little bit of additive on my own anyway.
Good idea.
Make sure I've not had any problem. Now, second question on the diesel. It's a 2000 F-250 with 188,000 miles on it, so it's just getting broke in. But when the temperature drops down to like 40, 45, it's hard to start. So am I needing to change glow plug?
Probably. Yeah, they're just like anything else. They wear out. They're an electrode that, that over time will build up, I don't want to say resistance to heating up, but they just wear out over time. They're just not going to heat like they once would, and a new set would help that, yes.
Okay. Now, I'm an old farm boy, and I've done some mechanical work. Is that something I could do myself, or would you recommend having someone else do it?
You could do it yourself. Just make sure when you do that, put all the new harnesses and everything on that 7.3. They've got updated harnesses that are under the valve covers. Just make sure you do everything at one time when you do that.
Okay. All right. And last question. I don't get to go out on the highway as much as I'd like to, so I'm concerned about the engine getting warmed up as much as I'd like to have it warmed up. Is that I set myself up for future problems if I don't?
I think you want to get it warmed up, and what I would do is, if that's an issue, put a winter front on it if you don't have one already, and use the zipper accordingly that's in it, and just run a winter front.
Okay,
that's what I would do. In fact, the new trucks are actually coming with winter fronts built into them, as underneath the seat, I should say. So when you buy a new Dodge, new Chevy, whatever, they'll actually have a winter front built in. So that alone tells you that if you're not going to be out on the highway, or even if you're on the highway and it's 20 below, you need a winter front.
Right. Okay. Well, I've learned, at least I suspect over the years, there seems to be a pattern here as I go for the annual emissions test. If I take it out and drive the dickens out of it for a half hour or so, I have a lot better chance of passing.
Yeah. And again, some of that's just age of the engine. They were dirty to begin with. That's why they had to get rid of them and go to the 6-liter. All those things aren't helping you. But that's a great engine. I mean, that's a truck you never want to sell. You just keep that thing forever.
No, that's my plan.
Yep, good for you.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for the phone call. Appreciate it very much. Let's go to Frank, who's next. He's been holding the longest. Frank, what's going on?
Hi, Larry. You're not Larry.
I'm John, but that's okay. I'll go by anything. That's fine.
Hey, I have got a 89 tape radio with 4-liter inline 6 in it, fuel injected.
Yes.
I'll get in it, start it, go somewhere, and it'll act like it starts, but immediately dies. And I'll try it 2 or 3 times, and finally it'll catch and run, and everything's okay. And maybe 10, 20 times later, it'll start the same routine again. And doesn't make any difference whether it's warmed up engine, where I've gone to the grocery store and I'm getting ready to come back, or I haven't driven it for a day or two, and it's just something that wants to happen.
Okay.
I pull the little vacuum line on the fuel pressure regulator on the fuel rail to make sure that diaphragm was okay. That's not a problem. I'm thinking maybe it's electrical, as in the ignition switch or the starter relay. What?
So does it not want to turn over, or
No,
is it turning
turns
over, not
over.
starting?
It cranks. It
Okay.
cranks.
And it would not be then starter relay, ignition switch, maybe if it's not sending the right signals. That particular vehicle, if I'm not mistaken, and Jeff, correct me, but it has to pick up, I believe, 3 or 4 different sensors and have all the correct readings before it will allow it to start.
If I'm not mistaken, I think you're right on that.
So if something's out of whack, and it's not even regulating fuel pressure and things like that, if it's not picking up the right crank sensor, if it's not picking up the right, timing coming out of the pickup in the distributor, things along those lines, it will not let it start. So it's probably more along the lines of one of those sensors not communicating and working properly at different times as much as anything.
Okay, now then, where I've got
It's hard. You really need to have, in your case, with that vintage vehicle, you need a good scan tool and a good lab scope to actually check all the different sensors that are there to determine which ones are bad and what needs replaced.
Okay, all right.
And if you have that, you can look in the manual and it'll tell you, check the crank sensor, it needs to be doing this, check, and it'll go through every one of those and tell you exactly which one needs to be doing what, and it'll walk you through it, but you've got to have the right meters and the right tools to do that with.
All right, there's where I've got a deficit, but I can get to some.
Okay, yeah, if you've got all that, it's easy to check. And or I will tell you real quick, and if it were me, my vehicle, just because they're not that expensive, go down to Napa, buy a crank sensor, put a crank sensor on it. It's a known problem on that particular vehicle. They're not very expensive.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Typically, I would not recommend that, but in this vehicle, Jeff's over here even saying, yeah, just go put a crank sensor on it and try it. It's not that expensive of a try to see if it will help.
I don't have a problem doing that.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, thanks, John.
You're very welcome. Take care. Have a great afternoon. With that, let's take a quick break. One line open. 303-477-5600. We've got a comment from Rodeo Doc in Castle Rock. And then we've got JR in Denver with an insurance comment question. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away. John Rush, KLZ, Drive Radio. KLZ.
Hunting down that hard-to-find part for an out-of-the-ordinary car can be quite a time-consuming chore. Unless, of course, you just go around the corner.
Yeah, I like
have an auto parts store, where we have over 3.
What do you like? Should I hit it now? Should I do what I'm doing?
Just like the original. Yeah, there are people who say it's the journey and not the destination, but those people have never tried to find an alternator for an 82 Fiat on a Saturday. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get the good stuff.
Do you love things that require gas or diesel fuel to run? Do you need a job? Are you just looking for a change? Napa Auto Parts is looking for delivery drivers and salespeople in all locations in the Denver metro area. If you have experience in the industry, that helps, but it is not mandatory. Please go to NapaAutoJobs.com. Again, that's NapaAutoJobs.com and fill out the application. Please mention Drive Radio on that application, Napa Auto Parts, an equal opportunity employer.
After 30 years of business, Gino's Auto Service is expanding. Hi, this is Jennifer, and my dad owns Gino's Auto Service in Littleton. What does our expansion mean for you? Savings on all our repair and maintenance services. We work on all makes and models, and your satisfaction is always guaranteed. At Gino's, we use genuine Napa parts and are AAA approved. Stop by and see the transformation at Bowles and Platte Canyon, or visit us online at GenosAutoservice.com. That's GenosAutoservice.com.
Arvada West Auto wants to help you get the best fuel mileage you can. Approximately 3.5 million gallons of gas a day are lost due to underinflated tires. There are many things we can do to help you boost your fuel mileage, and most of it comes down to basic maintenance. Running at peak performance, from tune-ups to wheel alignments, they've got you covered with a 3-year or 36,000-mile warranty on most cars. On the web, visit ArvadaWestAutoandTruck.com or call 303-422-1065. Arvada West Auto and Truck, where every question is important. Located on West 64th Avenue between Ward Road and Sims.
Ever tried to buy an air filter and get lost in catalogs and vehicle descriptions? Well, K&N, the inventor of reusable cotton filters, has got the answer to the mess. Just visit knfilters.com and enter your vehicle identification number off your dashboard or car registration, and K&N will show you the filter that fits your car. It's never been easier to buy a K&N, the filter that helps your car run better.
And we are back. Yeah, you're right. We're back. 303-477-5600. Lines are full. As soon as somebody drops off, give us a call. We'll get you right on air. And JR, you've been holding the longest. You got an insurance comment. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. I was in good hands with Allstate. Not. I just spoke the comment there.
Yeah, I was with them when I was a kid for a long time. So, yeah, what's your story?
Well, I mean, it just seems like insurance companies will take your money, but when time to get the benefits, it's a hassle. Big hassle. That's just my experience doing insurance companies. I'm 63 years old, and I've had all kinds of insurance companies, house and car, et cetera, you know.
No, you're just reiterating some of what we've talked about today. I think you really need to know your insurance company. And I'll just give you a little tip. I know Paul can't say this just because, but I can. Part of what enables Paul and American National Insurance to provide the level of service and keep the rates down is because they have customers like you and me versus other customers out there that may not be as insurance friendly, quote unquote, as you and I would be. In other words, when you've got customers that don't abuse the insurance, it enables you to pay out claims better, handle things faster, have better agents, and do things overall better than if you're out there trying to knock on everybody's door and get every single person insured out there, no matter whether they're a good insurer or not.
Right. I mean, I understand it's 30% that don't have insurance. I mean, some of the reasons why they don't have insurance is, they're struggling, and they must get insurance just for the month to get their license plates or their driver's license, and then drop it. They're just trying to make it. Right?
I have not yet figured that out. And the other option that I guess I'm thinking about is, it may be a situation to where they just, they don't have anything to lose, so getting insurance enough just to go out and get the registration is enough. And then after that, it really doesn't matter what happens. And again, I'm not a guy on regulation. I think the government needs to get more out of our business than more into it. But I also know that it's around the ability to drive and keep everybody safe and make sure that all of us have the same, I don't want to say this. In other words, we know if you run into, there's going to be some protection. It's not all coming out of your pocket. I think that's something that every state should make sure happens.
Right. I have a question, a specific question. I have Progressive. I'll be talking to them here soon.
Thank you.
I have me, my wife, and son. Of course, my son's a speedster, so he got X amount of tickets. And
yes.
He'll probably end up losing his license, but I'm gonna have to get rid of him off my policy and get his own, whatever. But those marks, would that be against me or is it against him?
Those are against.
Great question.
Those are against the driver, so that's against him. I mean, it's impacting your rates as a whole with that company because you guys are, as a household, considered high risk.
Right. Somebody said, "Hey, if you drop so and so, we will reduce your rates." One of my other sons, and that can happen too. Then, right? And what's the reason why they do that?
Because he's no longer on your policy, so he's not at risk anymore for you. Because
they've been on my policy before, and they've said if you drop this person to his driver record, we'll reduce your rates. Which and that's something that's occurred to me in the past.
Well, because if you drop him, he's not on your policy anymore, so he's not driving your cars. Therefore, there's no risk exposure for that company because you've dropped him.
Right.
And I understand what John was saying about if you have something that you have a house, you got other stuff at home that you got to be insured, or the lawyers will come after you.
That's right. That's right.
And suck you dry.
That's exactly right. If they see that there is any kind of assets that they can go attack, that's the way I look at it. If they can attack those assets, and of course it's you they're really attacking, but if they can attack your assets and you're not protected either through umbrellas or things along those lines, trust me, they will.
Right.
Well, and Jared, you figure for you and your wife, your son goes off the policy for $152 a year. You get $1 million umbrella that protects your 401k, your savings account, pays for out-of-pocket expenses. I mean, legal fees, court costs, lawyers. I mean, it pays for everything.
Yeah, and my recommendation on umbrella policies, and I'm not an agent, but this is just personally how I think umbrellas should be looked at, you as an individual, I don't care who you are, whether you own a business, don't own a business, you should run some sort of a P&L on yourself on an annual basis. And what I mean by that is you should do a personal, financial statement of who you are, where are your assets, what's your bottom line net worth. In other words, is it 400,000? Is it a million? Is it 5 million? Is it 2 million? Is it 50,000? Whatever that number is, that's the number that you should have as an umbrella policy. That's my view on how you should do that. Am I right, Paul?
Absolutely. And you figure for the average person, $12 a month, that's what you're looking at.
For $1 million.
For $1 million.
That's cheap.
Okay, thanks a lot. Great show.
You're very welcome, JR. Thanks for calling in. And yeah, and again, I'm not an agent, but that's just how I've always looked at it, is you should have an umbrella to cover whatever your net worth is. And, the net worth is whatever your assets are, take out the liabilities. So if you've got a house that's worth, 500,000 and you owe 250, well, you got 250 right there. Okay, there's equity there. You just keep adding up what cars are paid for, what other, household items, jewelry, fine china, you name it. All those things you just kind of itemize out, which, by the way, most banks, if you do anything with them at all, are going to want some of that anyway. So line all that out, know exactly where you are, and then review it, because it'll change. Every year you're paying more down on the house unless you borrow more against it. But every year those figures are going to change a little bit. And hopefully as we get older, the net worth should go up and not go down. Thereby, the need for the umbrella policy even becomes more important the older we get. That's how I view it, guys.
Well, and the thing that people don't understand is the umbrella is not meant to, you're not meant to cut down your other liability on your auto to state minimums and then have an umbrella. They all got requirements, like with MPAC, you've got to have 250, 500, and then have the umbrella. The umbrella is not meant to
supplement the other. It's an addition, right? Or not. It's not to replace the other. It's to supplement it, is what I meant.
It's to give you more coverage on good coverage already.
Got it. All right, let's keep going. We've got Rodeo Doc who's up next. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, guys. Great show.
Thank you.
I am on the other, one of the other sides of the insurance part of it. My practice is about 50% treating personal injury cases, and if you take the minimum, you're crazy.
Yeah.
It just is.
It doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
Okay, so people that are listening, they're hearing you say this, but explain why you had explained that.
Well, of course, I want to get paid for what I do.
Okay.
But the reality is, and this was alluded to by one of your earlier callers, if you're in the ambulance on the backboard and you get the MRI at the ER, you've done $5,000 worth of care.
Yeah.
And now you've got nothing left for actually addressing your problems, and it either goes to your health insurance or out of your whatever. One of the mistakes people make in this is they go, oh, my health insurance will cover it, and then they decline the med pay.
Right.
The problem there is they wind up going into some kind of specialty care that the health insurance won't cover, and you're at a loss. Whereas with the med pay,
So what's a good recommendation, Doc? What's a good recommendation for those limits? In other words, what should the average person have when it comes to that med pay?
I don't think you should carry anything less than 25.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't. I have one patient that carries 100,000, and she's got stability plates in her cervical spine, and she shouldn't carry anything less than that. So you do have to, you kind of have to customize it a little bit.
So I see what you're saying. So if you've got some known injuries already, you probably need to make sure that you're even covered differently than somebody that's 100% healthy.
Absolutely true.
I never thought about that. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing people don't think about is dental. Most people don't have dental plans or have a good one.
That's true too.
So dental work is
expensive also. And you go in and get a full set of implants or et cetera, there's 10, 15 grand. I don't know. I'm guessing it's probably a $10,000 bill to get implants.
Or it can be just as simple of having to see a TMJ dentist because you got ringing in your ear and pain in your jaw from getting hit rear-ended.
Okay, good point. Hey, you bring up some great points, and I realize you're on the other side, but it all still equates and comes back into our topic, which is making sure people are properly protected so that they don't risk losing assets through something like this.
Absolutely.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the tips. We appreciate it very much. Thanks for listening. Let's go to Randy, who's up next in Castle Rock. Randy, what's going on?
Hey, guys, I had a question for both of you. Gentlemen, it's you first. By the way, I didn't get my Chevy Cruze because my credit wouldn't quite go through, so I'll be driving that Jeep now quite a bit.
That's all right.
But I wanted to ask you, since I won't be driving that little Dodge for maybe once a week, should I go out there in between that once a week? And if I'm not going to drive it because it's heavy snow, at least just start it up.
With as cold as it is right now, I'd probably go out every other day and start it, not just do it once a week. For those of you out there listening that only drive, we've had a couple callers today to talk about only driving periodically, especially this time of year. When it starts dropping down, 15 degrees or below, if it's in the teens, I guess is what I'm trying to say, or less, I'm one that, every other day, go out there, start that car, let it warm up for a few minutes, make sure things are, cycling, rejuvenating, the battery staying up, etc. That way, when you really do need the car, you know it's going to start.
Yeah, I want to ask you, I know it's not as good as driving it, but it will at least charge up that battery.
That's right. That's right. No, shut it back off and you're in good shape.
Oh, no. I got to at least get it up to temperature, shouldn't I?
No, you don't have to. Just making sure that it starts, that it runs, that it warms up just a little bit. You don't have to bring it all the way up to temp and let it run 10, 15 minutes. That's not a have to.
Okay. But one other thing, I didn't know if it's contradicting or not. I know that the heat kills. I thought you said it's that hot and cold continuously that's wearing out those hoses and belts and such.
It is, but when it gets this cold out, making sure that vehicle will start and not letting it just sit day after day after day is always a good thing. Unless you can keep it inside, plug it in, do things like that, then it's not an issue. But if it's just sitting out in the cold, I would advise firing it up every now and then.
Okay. And I'm your insurance guy here. I forgot your name, but I had a question for you. I do have discounts on my policy for being over 50 and multi-car, but I've mentioned to them two things I'm going to tell you right now, and I haven't seen it on my policy. But should I be entitled for a discount for one, for having a garage? I have a garage for both cars. They're locking garages, they're not carports. And number two, the most recent car I bought, they put a GPS on there. That's just a policy. They want to know where the car is. You're not going to Mexico and not make your payments. But should I be getting a discount for one or both of those?
It just depends. The garage thing, no. As long as I've done this, I've never heard of, unless it's a classic car, the garage is even a requirement, and there's no discount for it. I mean, you're going to get discounts more based on the zip code that you're in. So maybe living in Denver and having a garage would help you out a little bit, but there's no discounts for garage. And the GPS, I'm kind of half torn on that, just because they can also track your braking speed and how fast you're driving and stuff like that. So there could be discounts. There could also be surcharges because they're seeing that you're not driving, as safely as you're telling them you are. That you're driving more than you are.
Yeah, no tickets in probably 10 years. But the garage would make it harder to steal the car, and the GPS, they'd know where it's at if someone did snake the car. So, there are benefits, aren't they?
Yeah, there are, but
they don't look at it that way. Even having a locked fence, locked gate, locked area, etc. It really doesn't go into the equation. Having a garage, etc. That doesn't make any difference.
Nah.
And the GPS is like the Bojack back in the day. That's just for your personal.
The only thing I know that GPS is help is on commercial policies, but that's a whole different animal.
Because you have different drivers.
Correct.
Well, okay. Well,
all right, guys. You bet. You appreciate it very much. Yeah, on a lot of you guys that are out there on commercial, I did find that out this past week that there are companies, policies, etc., where if you have GPS tracking in your vehicles and have those devices in, there are some discounts now that are starting to become available because you can keep a better track of what's going on in this particular case that I mentioned earlier, where I had one of my vehicles run into. I've got a full GPS record to show exactly what happened, when the accident took place, where exactly it took place, the time it took place. Not that the police report doesn't show that it does, but it's just another backup piece of information. And now say, all right, guys, you're at fault, pay up. And the insurance companies like having that. So let's take a quick break. We've got one line open, 303-477-5600. We come back. We've got Russ and Cheyenne. We'll get you first, Russ. Hang with us. Don and Greeley with a tranny cooler question. Hang tight. We'll be back with both of you guys in just a moment. John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Have you failed an emissions test and don't know what to do? Have you been trying?
Sorry about that.
Arvada West is your answer. We score 100% on our success ratio. That's confidence for the customer. We are always willing to explain the repair process to you. We use a proven diagnostic format that we have developed since the emissions program began here in Colorado. For an honest, understandable, and reasonably priced diagnosis, stop by and see us. We've helped clean our Colorado air since 1981. Call Arvada West Auto and Truck 303-422-1065 or see us on the web at arvadawestautoandtruck.com. If you would like to stop by to make an appointment, we are at 11752 West 64th Avenue.
At Napa Auto Parts, we've been the most trusted name in auto parts for over 80 years. Probably because we've never stopped looking for ways to make the great parts we sell even better. It's a commitment to quality you'll find in every one of our 310,000 parts. From the bacteria-killing surface on our cabin air filters, to the patented damping mechanism on our drive-line valve tensioners, to our revolutionary new Adaptive One brakes. And Napa parts are covered by a warranty that's good at any of our 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores nationwide. Yeah, maybe you don't get this at your average auto parts store, but at Napa, we've spent the last 80 years making sure we were anything but average. To find the Napa Auto Parts store nearest you, go to NapaOnline.com. Napa, get the good stuff.
With over 125 locations in Colorado, southern Wyoming, and western Nebraska, there's only one place to get the good stuff: Napa Auto Parts.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They set the standard for along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
Do you love things that require gas or diesel fuel to run? Do you need a job? Or are you just looking for a change? Napa Auto Parts is looking for delivery drivers and salespeople in all locations in the Denver metro area. If you have experience in the industry, that helps, but it is not mandatory. Please go to NapaAutoJobs.com. Again, that's NapaAutoJobs.com and fill out the application. Please mention Drive Radio on that application. Napa Auto Parts, an equal opportunity employer. All right, we are back. Drive Radio. John Rush, your host, KLZ 560. Our insurance man that's here today, our fine sponsor, Paul Leuenberger. Everybody keeps saying, what's his name? It's Paul. P-A-U-L, Paul. So Paul's with us, Paul Leuenberger. Also, Jeff Kitty from Larry's is with me, and we're talking everything, you name it. Insurance has been the hot topic of the day, which we planned. That goes right along with what we wanted to do today, so that's perfectly fine. Real fast, I want to give you a review on a car. Drove a 2015 Cadillac ATS, which is their little car, kind of competes with the smaller luxury market, the BMWs, the Mercedes, etc. Has a 3.6-liter engine in it, 275 horsepower. Fine car, by the way. That car, I was really surprised. A little coupe is what the car I drove is. They make it a sedan or a coupe, but that car actually, guys, for a V6, going from the old days of having to have a V8 all hopped up, all that sort of stuff, thinking that's what you need to make power. You know what? These new little V6s, direct injection, etc., they make the cars stinking run. This was a rear-wheel drive car I drove. They make it an all-wheel drive, but that car flat out hauls, performs, works well. The review will be up on our Drive Radio website. I should say on our YouTube Drive Radio website. So again, all of our reviews are up on Drive Radio's YouTube channel. You just go to YouTube, go to the search bar on YouTube, type in Drive Radio, all one word, and you'll find us there, all the reviews, the different things we do, interviews, etc. There's 100+ videos up there now from all the different things we've done. We just keep adding more and more to it. So use that as a tool. Our plan in the future is to take that and even add some tech tips and different things. If I never get enough time to go out and do some of those things and shoot them and do some training tech tips, all sorts of different things. We'll just continue to build that, grow it, and make that a resource for you guys to actually use and use on a regular basis. Let's go to Russ and Cheyenne. Russ, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing great. Thanks for calling.
I was going to say, a few years back, I had some extended family that my wife's grandpa bought her niece a car. And she was out in her car and had a few of her friends in the car, and they pulled out in front of a semi. And unfortunately, everybody but my wife's niece died in the crash.
Not good.
And because my wife's grandpa was underinsured when he got sued because he owned the car, he wanted to lose everything.
Yeah, there's a story. So what you're saying, Russ, is everything I've talked about today and Paul talked about. We're not just saying it to say it to help Paul sell insurance. These are things you need to do to be protected.
Yeah, and the thing is, I can't say, like with the family that sued him, people deal with anger in different ways, and so now, my wife's grandpa is in his 80s, living in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
Making payments every month because he lost everything. He lost everything.
Yeah, and to your point, what you just said, Russ, is something I don't think even a lot of folks that don't have anything to lose forget about. Is you just said something key. He's also making payments, because what happens is if you don't have enough assets to pay a particular judgment against you, you'll just be paying for it the rest of your life.
Right.
And that's how they get it, folks. They're going to get it one way, shape, form, or another, and you're going to pay. So you're better off to just be insured on the front side. To Paul's point, it's not expensive. $12 a month for the average umbrella policy for $1 million. That's cheap.
Yeah, and the one thing that he mentioned that I think was overlooked is, so the grandpa buys the daughter the car. It's in the grandpa's name. I've got a lot of clients that have bought in their kids' cars. The kids go out and get their own insurance. Like I tell all my clients, make sure the kids carry good insurance, because once those coverages are exhausted, they're going to find out, oh, the car's titled in mom and dad's name.
That's right.
There's another avenue we go down.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Well, the other thing is well, even with liability insurance, you can't just carry the minimums. I mean, I had a buddy a few years ago wound up running into a diesel pusher motorhome.
Yep.
And that was expensive.
Yes, they are.
And his liability policy did not cover it.
So then what happened?
They wound up replacing the whole side of the diesel pusher, and it was, they didn't sue him, which I'm surprised they didn't. But he absolutely exhausted the limit of his liability insurance.
Good point. Russ, man, you're just reiterating everything we've talked about. Great point. So, yeah, folks that are listening, make sure you got enough insurance. You don't want happening to what happened to Russ's grandfather happening to you, and it can happen. Great point, Russ, man. Stay warm up in Cheyenne.
I appreciate it.
All right, man. Appreciate it. And Russ listens faithfully. I appreciate that very much. We have, by the way, lots of Cheyenne listeners. Thank you all so much that are up in the, Cheyenne. We've got people that listen in Nebraska, Kansas, all of you out-of-staters. Thank you so much for listening. We do appreciate it very much. One line open, 303-477-5600. Don and Greeley, what's going on?
This is Wayne.
Oh, Wayne. Hey, what's going on, Wayne?
I came in incognito for some reason.
That's all right. What's happening?
Well, it's been a while. This insurance thing, I heard you talking about it. I've been going through it for a year now. They ran into the back of my new SI.
Yes.
Honda, and my wife got hurt. And, boy, I'll tell you, carry that insurance. Carry the maximum you can possibly carry.
Yeah.
And you know what makes it worse is, and people may not think about it, but as you get a little older and you go into retirement and you get Medicare involved, you got to work with the government, and boy, that makes it even better.
yeah, doesn't it though?
Oh yeah,
be doing that one every insurance company.
Boy, carry all you can and learn as much about it as you can. Your insurance coverage.
Oh, you're right. You're exactly right, Wayne. Great point, and to your point about carrying enough, especially, and this is not to knock those of us that are getting older, but especially as we get older, we don't recuperate as fastly as we did when we were 25. So those hospital bills get a lot more expensive the older we get. So that's something else to think about with your agent as you're talking about all these things we're getting into. And really, what I'm really trying to get everybody to think about is if you haven't reviewed this stuff with your agent, which, by the way, I think you should do once a year. If you're not doing that because it's online or you've never seen an agent, switch. Call Paul, get him on the phone, get some good advice so you know what you're buying.
Yes, sir. That's exactly.
Thanks, Wayne.
I had another couple things since I haven't talked to you for a while. I was just wondering, since all this happened, I also, my new Chevy's not doing the best. And, that GMC van of mine, I had a water pump seep on me.
Okay.
And stupid, well, I took it to the dealer, under warranty, and they put on a new water pump, new belts, a new antifreeze, which is great. But I got a mile away from the dealership, and it got extremely hot. And what had happened was they didn't know how to take the bubbles or take the air out of that system. So I ended up taking it back and a bunch of crap. But anyway, I think I've got it straightened out. They put in new antifreeze in it, and I checked it. I've just got one of the. It's a new one. It's one of these little Prestone check. If you get that much antifreeze in there, is that detrimental to that system?
So you're saying it's really
high
really high in antifreeze, not the right 50-50 mix. Yeah, you want to have the right 50-50 mix. You don't really want to be above 40 below. Now, I also will tell you that with the newer antifreezes, checking in with the old bubble type checker is not very accurate.
Oh, really?
No, you need a refractometer or a to see where it's at. Which, by the way, Napa sells it. You don't want to buy a refractometer; they're really expensive. But buy some strips at Napa and check it that way.
I didn't know that. Thank you, John. Yes. I appreciate that. Also, I was going to ask Jeff. Hi, Jeff. I say hi to you. I've talked to you before. I'm still thinking about putting an external cooler on my tranny on this thing because I think I'm going to pull a trailer next spring. Maybe. Yeah. I can either buy from the dealer, or I can maybe find a one that hasn't been damaged and a clean one out, a decent one out of the wrecking yard. And what they have now on these 3/4 ton GMCs, and I'm sure you've seen them, is that little tube type that runs across in front of the radiator. And I think that'd be pretty neat. But what I'm wondering is, they only use those on a 6-speed tranny. Would the fittings be a problem, or can a person without much problem get?
Careful about, especially on the newer vehicles, is you don't want to run them too cold, because they won't operate right.
Okay, well, yeah, I understand that. Okay, so you thinking maybe a cooler might be too much?
Well, you want one that's going to be self-regulating.
Okay.
Okay, and you need a plate-style cooler to do that.
Okay. Well, that's the reason I talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Because I find out what I need.
Yep. And they're really good because they open up when they get hot and they flow more fluid.
Yeah.
When they get cool, they start restricting down so that they don't get too cool.
I've been using those plate ones, Wayne, for probably, they came out 20 years ago. I've been using those plate type auxiliaries for 20 plus years. The only ones I ever would install.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way I'll go then. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome,
One
Wayne.
more quick question, John, and we just had a new Costco open up here. I thought I'd heard you one time say that they were top tier. Do they offer top tier?
They
fuel?
sure do. Yes, they do.
Okay,
yes.
Fabulous.
Yep.
Okay,
all right,
thank you,
Wayne.
gentlemen, and you all have a great day.
Yeah, bless you, man. Appreciate you calling in.
Be careful in the snow.
We'll do it. Thanks a lot. We appreciate it. All right, one line open, 303-477-5600. We'll be able to take about 3 or 4 more calls before the end of the show is all. Call us. We'll get you squeezed right in, and we'll be right back after this. Don't go away. John Rush, your host, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Need a one-stop auto repair solution in Boulder? At John's 4x4 Center, they service and maintain more than just 4x4s. From big trucks to diesel pickups, their team of service specialists and technicians have the computer diagnostics, tools, and expertise to service and repair any make or model. They combine their skills with integrity, giving you the best service in the industry. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, you can trust your vehicle to John's 4x4, located on Arapahoe Road, just east of 63rd. Behind Carpet 1. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 until 5:30. With the new owners at John's 4x4 Center are committed to providing the personal and professional service you're looking for. Give them a call at 3 at johns4x4.com.
Reliability. It's what every driver wants from their vehicle. Regardless of make or model, you want your vehicle to take you where you need to go. Reliability is exactly what the Colorado Select Auto Care Centers offer. They set the standard for excellence in automotive repair and maintenance. Each member offers Napa Auto Care Peace of Mind warranty, along with the highest level of customer service and integrity. To find a Colorado Select Auto Care Center near you, log on to drive-radio.com or call 303-546-NAPA.
Or even worse, you don't know what parts you need. Well, at Napa Auto Parts, we have ASE certified parts specialists that'll make sure you find that right part. One covered by a warranty good at any one of 6,000 Napa locations. Yeah, finding the right part might not be easy, but fortunately, finding the right part store is. Go to NapaOnline.com for the location nearest you. Napa, get that good stuff.
Having transmission problems? Stop by Larry's Automotive today. We're your only Colorado Select Auto Care in North Denver that also specializes in automatic and manual transmissions. We're a family-owned small business taking care of your family-owned fleet of cars, trucks, and SUVs since 1994. We specialize in transmission and drivetrain problems and offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. We're also an ATRA member. Call us at 303-427-2108 for an appointment or find us on the web at coloradoselect.com. Larry's Automotive, a proud member of Colorado Select Auto Care.
24 seconds. I timed it. It took me just 24 seconds to find a AAA certified master mechanic who offers the best peace of mind warranty in the state. A 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on every repair. At coloradoselect.org, I search my...
All right.
Boom, I'm done.
Okay.
Colorado Select Auto Care puts their member shops through a rigorous set of requirements.
You got it.
No matter which shop I choose, I'll get the best auto repair service possible. That's 24 seconds well spent. coloradoselect.org.
All right, Sean Rush, Drive Radio, KLC 560. We're going to get right through the phones as quickly as we can. Don, welcome. What's going on today?
Hey, hi, John. Hi, Jeff. How you guys doing?
Pretty good, John.
Hey, I had a comment for Paul, your insurance fellow.
Sure.
You know, it really chaps my hide to know the number of people that are floating around without insurance on the road.
Yes, it did me too. I didn't realize it was that high.
Yeah. You know, I worked in Australia for a few years, and they handle it a whole lot different there. And I don't know why we couldn't do the same thing. But when you buy your tags in Australia, you have to pay for the full year of insurance when you buy the tags.
Really?
And it's so simple. Everybody on the road's got insurance.
Everybody's insured at that point.
Yeah, yeah. You know, these knuckleheads that buy insurance and then quit making the payments.
I know. It just chaps me.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, Don. It's ridiculous is what it is.
I mean, the state doesn't allow you to buy your tags on monthly payments.
No, that's true.
So why don't they make
you pay
the whole insurance?
That's a great point.
Good point.
Yeah. Well, just something to think about.
Don, thanks for your call, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And always love having you call in. Love you listening. I appreciate it very much. Let's go to Paul, who's next. Paul, welcome.
Hey, how you doing, John?
Great. Thanks for calling us.
I gotta ask this one question about wipers.
Okay.
It seems like I was driving through the snow at 525, and it seems like no matter if they're brand new or brand new truck, or I've been driving a commercial truck for 30 years, and it never fails, man. I'm driving down the highway in snow, and you get a little piece of snow, and then it gets a bigger piece, and pretty soon you got a snow cone going back and forth in your windshield, and it's like trying to drive with the bathroom window.
Yeah.
And and everybody else passed me. It's like the sun shining on their truck, you know.
I'm laughing with you because I know what you're saying. I've done the same thing. Yeah, I know. And you know this on some of the commercial stuff. They're now starting to do heated wipers and things like that to try to avoid some of those things. But until they get that fully worked out and implemented, you know what? You just try to. Now, I will give you a tip. Some of you out there listening, as far as the wipers go. A, use new wipers. B, keep them good and lubed up with some sort of silicone, something where they stay nice and pliable. B or C, make sure your windshield itself is clean and doesn't have a lot of pits on it. What I mean by that is wax it. Use some rubbing compound if you have to. Get that windshield nice and smooth. It makes the wipers work that much better.
I'll try that.
And it does keep the snow from building up also.
All right, okay, well, thanks. I have one comment I'd like to make.
Go right ahead.
A couple of weeks ago, there was a story on the news where some guys got hit on I-70 while they were trying to help somebody change a tire.
Yep.
It's like, man, don't stop there.
Nope.
Pull over.
Yep.
Find someplace. If there's no exit or pull out, get as far over as you possibly can.
It is not worth what the cost of a tire and wheel are for what a life is.
Well, for once, then your tires, if you're from 70 and you have a flat, your tires
You're done
are
anyways. Thank you. Thank
and
you.
the rim's probably damaged.
You're right,
You know?
Paul. Yep. And by the way, they're a lot cheaper. Yeah, no, you're right, Paul. That is awesome information. And on top of that, and I probably got to let you go. On top of that, please keep a yellow, they're cheap, $3-4 safety vest in the trunk or the glove box of your car. So if you are out having to change a tire, even getting out of the vehicle, anywhere close to a highway or the road, you've got that thing on so people can see you. That is a must. I think everybody should have one in every vehicle. Let's go to Don. He's going to be our last caller for the day. Don, welcome. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing today?
Doing great.
I have a question about the four-wheel drive. I've got a 2001 Nissan Xterra.
Okay.
And it's pretty light in the back end. So is there a problem driving that on like ice and just real thin base, like a hard surface?
No, not at all. No, you'd be fine. It's great. By the way, that's a great vehicle. They work fantastic. But no, leave that in four-wheel drive. You know, light. I don't want to say this. You know, you may have some dry spots or some wet spots or some icy spots. Leaving that in four-wheel drive, you're not going to hurt anything.
Okay, yeah, that was my question. Yeah, it's pretty light in the back end, but yeah, it's a great, good vehicle.
Yeah, they work great.
Great. And the says ship on the fly, I don't like doing that. It's got the regular transportation. We have to ship.
You can ship them on the fly, but we recommend that you stop as much as you can. It makes everything that much easier.
Yeah,
Make it last a lot longer. That's right.
That's what I do.
Yep. You're on the right track.
Okay, can I ask one more question?
Yes, you can. Go right ahead.
Okay, I'm planning on taking a trip in the next week or so. My Michelin tire got 40,000 miles, and the tread is pretty good, but the outside has got some wear on it. I think I just go ahead and get some new tires.
Call our guys at Quick Tread, and they'll be happy to help you out. Like I said earlier, they're mobile. They'll come right to you, take care of you. Their phone number is 720-588-9055.
Okay, next one.
You're very welcome, Don. Thanks for calling. We appreciate it very much. All right, Paul, there was a couple things we were talking about that we really need to let people know also what you do. One is homeowners, which we talked a little bit about it, but we didn't get a lot into homeowners because we're car guys. But Paul does homeowners too, and you can package all of it up, and he'll save you money if you do everything together. So cars, boats, ATVs, house, etc. There's discounts for all of that. Secondly, Paul does something that very few insurance companies really do, and that is classic cars.
Yeah, we do classic cars and we do modern classics. So there's no age requirements. A lot of the companies, the car is going to be 25 years or older with us. It doesn't matter how old the car is, as long as it's used for, car shows or limited driving. I mean, with us, there's no restrictions. A lot of the companies out there will offer coverage based on what they tell you can and can't do. We give you that option. So unlimited miles a year, drive the car anywhere you want, wherever you want. No age restrictions on the drivers. No restrictions on who's driving it. Agreed value. So if it's a $30,000 car and something happens to it, that's what we pay out. Modified cars, exotic cars, replica kit cars.
Let's say you can go buy a new Corvette and you're going to just have the thing sit in the garage. A lot, over time, the value of that's going to stay up higher than what the typical insurance company is going to look at. Get with Paul; he'll take care of you, get that car insured properly. That's what he's talking about with modern classics, correct?
Correct. I just had a guy do that. 2014 Stingray, 85,000. It's roughly $600 a year.
There you go. So Paul can save you money. So hey, Matt, is Scott going to come in real quick and tell us about what's coming up on his show, or have Scott come in real fast? We'll just do it that way, make it easier. Scott Watley, who's going to come up next on Sportsman's of Colorado. I'm just going to have him come in himself and tell you what's coming up on his show next, because he's got some very special guests, and we're just going to do a little swap here and let Scott come in and talk. This will be even easier, and we'll just do it this way. How's this work? So did you actually go out hunting this morning?
I did.
This was a good day to go hunting.
It's just falling out right now. Yes, sir. Well, we were at Kiowa Creek Sporting Club and got
22 pheasant.
Awesome.
So we're ready
Awesome.
to have a meal tonight.
So Scott's show, by the way, dovetails so perfectly into what we do here on Drive Radio that it was really something Scott and I put together to make your Saturday listening experience even that much better. So Scott, tell them about Sportsman of Colorado, what's coming up next, and who your guests are today.
You know, John, we got a great show today. We have Dr. Jill Wang. She is with the Marion Downs Center, and we're going to be talking about hearing protection. You know, I'm 56 years old, and I started wearing hearing protection while shooting 4 years ago. And growing up,
Never did it. Yeah, I was the same idea, which was a dumb thing to do.
Absolutely. And, you know, so just when you're out shooting, and so we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And A Lasting Memory Taxidermy, Brad Haddix is back with us. And, you know, Brad's been giving us a lot of tips for out in the field for taking care of animals. You want to ensure a good mount, whether it's waterfowl, big game, fish, whatever. He's going to be helping us out there. And then the Outdoors Fanatic is a great store on Santa Fe and Inglewood, and Patty Paddock's going to join us. And it's a consignment store for guys for the outdoor gear, and a good place to
I should go take some of my stuff down there is what I should
buy.
do. Yeah, I need to do that.
So we look forward to it. And, you know, I want to carve out, you know, a once a month where you guys hang an extra segment with us.
Love to do that.
And get guys to call in with maybe truck questions and diesel questions, four-wheel drive, all that kind of stuff.
We'd love to do that. No, and this is a great segue. Nick, I appreciate Scott. We do a lot of things during the week, and I would encourage you to listen to Haystack Help every day. He's on at 4 p.m. in the afternoons, on just a little bit after Rush to Reason, which I'm on every day at 2 p.m. And we may have some changes coming on some of that stuff. We'll see what happens here in the very near future. We're going to make potentially some lineup changes and really try to get things even rocking and rolling even more so here on KLZ during the week, right?
Absolutely, John. Absolutely. And love your show, by the way. I do.
I appreciate you saying that. So again, guys, I want to say special thanks to Paul Lindberger, our resident insurance expert. He's our sponsor. Paul, give out one more time.
303-619-9891. And I am licensed in Wyoming and Arizona as well.
I want to mention that. All right, Jeff Katie from Larry's. Give him your info also.
Larry's Automotive, 7231 Bradburn Boulevard. Phone number is 303-427-2108.
And Larry Younger, who's on the other side of the glass, our producer. Matt, our engineer, thank you guys so much for taking care of us. We wouldn't be able to do the show without them. But most of all, we would not be able to do this without you guys, the listeners. We appreciate so much all the time you spend listening to us, calling in, interjecting, giving us ideas. We love you guys. Thank you so much. God bless you. Stay warm, stay safe, and make sure you're properly insured. Call Paul if you need that. And you know what? Scott's up next. Don't go away. John Rush, Drive Radio, KLZ 560.
Still haven't had enough? Go to drive-radio.com. Email your questions and comments. Download previous programs and find lots of useful information.